ready to join here at one of the big crown jewel events on the HTL calendar in the hometown of Henderson Freights and pretty much a lot of these teams in the real world that race around here. We're at Charlotte Motor Speedway for the Blankenship Freight Line 500 for the HTL Cup Series as practice is about to conclude up here and the drivers get ready for 500 laps trying to win a crown jewel event and get an extra little ring on their finger, and also, if they're a first-time winner, get themselves into the playoffs. My name is Kevin Young, bringing you here always the action on ABN1, and I am joined by a special face. She's usually operating the cameras, making everything look pretty. Well, she decided to step out of the booth, step out of the production truck, well, even though she's still technically in there, and she'll join me in the booth as well. It's Kristina Ryan. Kristina, how you doing?
Well, I'm pretty good, you know. They locked me in the truck still, so we got to deal with that. But, yeah, other than that, all things good. No, for real, I'm doing good. Home race for me to watch here was just spent the whole weekend at this track in real life. And one of the biggest races of the year for these guys and girls. And it should be an entertaining one, hopefully for the right reasons, but nevertheless, it'll be entertaining to watch.
It definitely will be entertaining to watch, and we've seen in real life the racing here has been very exciting, great to produce, and if the next-gen cars can mock up what they do in real life, we should be in for a treat tonight. Looks like qualifying is about to wrap up here as it usually starts up at the top of the, well, 20th minute here, and we'll see qualifying working out. Obviously, after last week's great race, where that driver ended up winning. It is going to be still interesting to see as we see a lot of drivers still on the outside looking in, trying to get that first win. And where you got to start, you got to give yourself a good qualifying stop if you want to have a chance to win. So we are going to advance on the qualifying here, and we'll see what driver lines off first.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting one for the fact that Charlotte is a bit more narrow than some of these other tracks, especially Atlanta after the repave being the same sort of shape, and Texas being a very wide track, even though there's not a lot of passing opportunities here. Charlotte's very narrow, and it's probably the roughest surface now as a result of the other two of the three quad ovals total. So it's going to be really important to get a good qualifying position. It's a long race, which means it's not impossible to gain positions, but it's really starting off on the right foot. If you can start up front, it's a lot less to worry about as the night goes on.
You are 100% correct there, Kristina. If you start up front, you don't have to worry about the stress. But we've seen time and time again, drivers have gone to the back, have made mistakes, have been able to pull it back out of the fire and get towards the front. But obviously, you don't want to give yourself an extra little challenge if you can help it. So we're now in the middle of qualifying. Still some cars yet to go onto the surface here. We see a few cars lining on up. And even though it is a special race, and unlike in real life, we'll get into this when the stages occur and we go over all the information for that. It is worth noting as well, it's only a 2-stage race, unlike the usual 3 stages we see in real life. So a little less time, a little less real estate to try to make something happen. But as the cars now line up, and we see the first car lining up on the edge, I believe that is Caleb Eichler, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Looks like they're rocking a new paint scheme. Yep, they will be the first car to take the qualifying session here shortly, and they will be the one to set the torchbearer. And like last week, we saw the driver that went out first set the time, and no one else was able to jump it. So that at least brings some good momentum to Caleb Eichler here, that if they can set a good time, maybe the track changes and they're able to hold on. Speaking of those conditions, temperature is 70 degrees Fahrenheit, a humidity of 1, and the wind in the northwest 10 miles an hour, now 11. So it's going to be a stronger wind than these drivers are used to, and it could upset these cars if they're not careful.
Oh, I tell you what, I wish we had those conditions in real life this weekend. It was a lot hotter than that. But the wind is something to keep an eye on there. You notice it was in the double digits. That could actually have a bit of an effect on these cars as the night goes on, especially in qualifying where those milliseconds really matter. Obviously, they're not allowed to pull straight onto the racetrack either, Kev. You see as they come through turn 2, they have to run that apron, which gives them only 2 corners to get up to speed for one single qualifying lap, one at a time. If you hit the wall, you're out early, so it's going to be important. This track does not take any prisoners. Eichler going to kick things off. Best of luck for them here.
Yep, they will cross the line and start their first of one flying lap now. Obviously, as Kristina said, it is only one attempt. Only time we will see 2 attempts on the calendar will be when they go to short tracks like last week. But since it is only going to be one senior lap, this is what you'll have to do, and you have to be careful. If you pull out a bit wide, you tap a wall, your run is done. Such a big field. Again, in certain situations, sometimes that could be, if you're an open car, you could miss the show, or at the very least have to come from the back. But Eichler looking clean at the moment. No invalidations I can see as they cross the line. It's going to be a 30.379. Going to be a time to beat for the rest of the field to jump on. And speaking of that second car, it's going to be Byron Jones looking to go back-to-back on poles.
Yeah, not a bad lap for Eichler. It's going to set the pace. We won't really know if it's a good one or not until we get about 5 or 6 cars on the racetrack and getting laps in. Byron Jones putting down a 30.855 here, and will actually be a bit slower than Eichler. So interesting to see that. I figured Byron Jones, obviously having been so high up lately, would have been a bit higher than that. Eichler's not bad by any means, but we typically don't see him towards the front of the field, so I guess it's gonna be interesting to see here, unless that was I don't think that was the warm-up lap, so we'll see. Looks like Tommy Reynolds going out now, I believe, if there's not anybody in front of him.
Yep, no, you are correct. Tommy Reynolds is going to be the one of 2 cars here. It looks like the car 12 of Dustin Hall, who had a night race to forget last week, he will be the other car coming out. So as usual, we do see 2 cars will hit the track in succession. Obviously, the 96 will be the first 2, and then we'll cut and pivot to the 12 after that until we fire off all the cars in this qualifying session. Reynolds going to run a little middle to the high groove here, and as they come across the line to start their flying lap, the one that won the previous Crown Jewel race in this season, the Daytona 500 winner right here, looking to try to do what Jamie McMurray did in 2010 and win 2 Crown Jewel events in one season. Obviously, in real life, he won Daytona and the Brickyard. End up winning Charlotte, but for the historian buffs out there, McMurray did win the Charlotte race in 2002, so at least to add to that fun trivia fact. But as Tommy Reynolds comes off of 4 here, going to see if he can beat Caleb Eichler's time of 30.37. Should be indicative that time is good or not. It looks like Reynolds did beat it. It's going to be P1 of 30.23.
Yeah, goofy little stat about that too. If he wants to keep that going, he flipped over during the Daytona 500 earlier this year and came back to win. They don't have an extra faster pair. They don't have any faster pairs this week, as Dustin Hall puts down a 30.247, which will put him in second place now. The front row locked out by the 2 cars we just saw on track. But he'd have to flip again tonight to be a little harder to do that without the faster pair.
Yeah, you can flip it, but you'll damage the car enough that you basically just putting around with the damage in question. Next 2 cars going to fire off here. First one is going to be the rookie Damonte Dotson. Be one of 2 cars attempting a run here. We'll see shortly who the other car is going to be in a second. It's going to be the 93 car of DJ Trout will be the other car that is going to take a lap here as well. Damonte Dotson, a rookie in the series, but is slowly making inroads. And you could say, like every series, I was talking about this last night with Ryan Pinnell in the A Squared series, every series has a rookie that starts kind of slow and slowly chips their way forward and improves week in and week out. And I think you could say about this 31 car, as they've shown quite strong pace week in and week out, and soon enough they've been knocking on the top 15s and top 10s. I'll be shocked if we see top 5s in the future for Damonte right here. Running the high groove here, which is a bit of an odd choice on your 1 or 2 laps here. Don't usually see that in those regards, but it's worth at least trying a different. Now going to pinch to the low side here. So first run, only run. As they come off of 4 here, we'll see if Damonte can put down a time that is respectable across the line. 30.532. That is going to be good enough for P4, at least at the moment, in the first 2 rows.
Yeah, I've raced with Damonte a lot. He may be a rookie to this series, but he's raced in court for a number of years. He's very, very quick, especially on this track. It wasn't the best qualifying effort from him, but as you mentioned, he took an unorthodox line. DJ Trout keeping the trends going, though, with the faster cars, as he puts his 93 car in 3rd place. But Damonte trying that different line. I've seen it happen before back in my my days of when I was a big shot esports racer and I was in the college series. The trucks took quite nicely to the top in 1 and 2, but I feel like that might be a race line, not so much a qualifying line, but you can't knock him for trying it, especially when he tends to qualify around the mid-pack. It doesn't hurt to try and do things like that.
Oh yeah, no, 100% indeed. Trying some new things can work out. Hey, it could work out during the race, so it's definitely at least a good opportunity to try it and make something happen. Next 2 cars hitting the track as we speak right now. One of the 2, I believe, we'll see here in a second here. So we're waiting for one to fire off. It's going to be William Britton right now, really sitting on the backstretch right now. And the other car is going to be Eli Sasic, who is on a flyer right now. So Sasic is going to be the first of the 2 cars here. The driver, you could generally say, I don't want to dog on him too much, but he's definitely been interesting to say the least. He's definitely a driver that you could see competing for a championship at season's end. And he's had runs, but he's been very streaky. He just has to find form here and get some good results in the back tank if he wants to really make that push going. As Sass is going to come across the line for his only lap here. Can he bump his way onto the front row? It's looking like a good lap, but it's only going to be good enough. Actually, it isn't even a pole position. So pole for Eli Sasic right now, and here's William Britton.
Yeah, this car put together in a hurry and wheeled out the shop. They're just happy to have made it here. But you can see with the old chassis going to come across the line. Britton definitely contrarian in the field, not afraid to take chances, but he's going to have to make it happen from the back if he wants to do it. Of course, he might stand, but that lap time does not look overwhelmingly impressive. And out of the cars we've gone, one of the slowest so far, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's not going to be a good lap for him at the moment. But again, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. I think he'll definitely be someone that's looking to improve as the race goes on. Next 2 cars coming out as we speak. We're going to see who exactly are. The 44 is going to be one of the 2, I believe, in second succession. But I think the next one is going to be trying to see who exactly it is.
Yeah, trying to keep an eye. The track map not really giving us any info here. It looks like Kevin Gibney is going to be the next one up.
All right, so Kevin Gibney in his running still the Steve Park throwback here. You can also argue the Jeff Green throwback depending on the game you played when you were a bit younger. But as he comes across the line to start his one and only flying lap, the other car will be Dean Clavitt, the second car on succession. So Gibney right now, again, has had a good season at the very least, but definitely looking at least to finish these races. He has a streak of DNFs going, that I think he would like to break and break quickly. Right now, at least, though, he could say he's trending in the right direction. Purple Sector 1 for his name. So if you can keep that going through the second sector, this could be a lap that you could say is going to be a nice one. As he comes across the line, does he keep it on track? Going to be close to the pole position. I think it is. No, it is not. He's lost a little bit of time in the second sector. It's going to be P5 for the number 1.
Seeing that purple first sector, though, that's going to be a bit of a motivation to him. He has been, as you said, having a string of horrible races lately, trying to find some form back. He's a great racer. It's just a mix of unfortunate circumstances and getting caught up in some mistakes. Charlotte's a place where you can really turn your luck around, so we'll see what happens there. Clavitt not going to do a whole lot better, going to only end up in 6th place, so they'll have it cut out for them to get there. And now I think we see Jeremy Breo laying out in that 44 car.
Yep, rocking the Steel Racing Designs 44. Obviously, since it is, if you are an American, the 4th of July is this week on, well, July 4th. So a lot of these drivers are going to run very patriotic schemes here tonight. And obviously, if you're a Canadian viewer, first of all, like Dean Clavitt, it is Canada Day in Canada. So happy Canada Day to everyone that is currently watching as well. If they are in the up Great North, the Great White North, I should say. Clavitt trying to spoil the American soil here, try to get a win on this. But Breo right now, a driver that's been running pretty good, a lot of second places, looking to try to get that first win this season, as he will now start his flying lap. And he will do what a lot of drivers for him have done, pinch that low groove and try to get the work here, really drifting out on the throttle late. See Sector 1 right now at the very least, if it's trending in the right direction. It looks like it is at the moment. It's at least looking good enough to at least be considerable for the first 2 rows. Keeping that low slide, pinching it to the bottom. As he comes off of 4, we'll see if his mad dash for glory can lead him to pole. Across the line of 30.220, and that's going to be good enough for second, but just oh so close away from Eli Sasek.
Yeah, that looked really quick. Caleb Carter abandoning their lap here. I think they might have caught the wall or just not happy with the lap, but the 71 car going to bring it down pit lane, and I think filling in for Lily Pelletier-Sharp. So I'm curious what's happening there. Caleb was also at Charlotte this weekend. We actually had a chance to meet, so it was great to see and meet them, but unfortunately does not look like a qualifying time will be put on the board for the number 71 machine, so we'll move over to Hunter Peach in the number 20. We'll see what he can do.
Ditching the Georgia Peach scheme back in a Reams scheme here tonight. I can tell you what happened to Caleb. Caleb hit the wall out of 2, and that's good enough for an invalidation. Didn't hit it hard, but just enough for the iRacing penalty system to say your lap is no longer counting.
It's ironic there because we had spoke when we were at the track and mentioned haven't seen Caleb around HTL a whole lot lately, and they said, well, yeah, it's just been real rough. Unfortunately, it does not look like that string is going to change, at least through the qualifying section. But Kevin, this brings up a good point as Hunter starts his lap. If you don't want to be at the very front, if you can't get in the first 10 spots, I almost feel like it's better to just start in the back altogether at a track like this, because the worst place to be is in the mid-20s, mid-30s, where, you know, there's nowhere to run and nowhere to hide. You're going to get hit from behind or get caught up in something in front. Sometimes it's better to just start all the way in the back as Hunter comes across the line.
I would agree with that point. We'll first see what Hunter Peach does here to finish his run. It's been good enough for P8, but has that win in the back pocket at least he can rely on, as the Dr. Pepperman Austin Mongol's going to come across the line to finish his flying lap. Let's see where he puts his time. It's going to be a 30.461, good enough for P10. But now to kind of answer your question, Kristina, I don't disagree with your statement, as it is such a long race with stages on 50 and 100, and the race being well over 200 laps long, 208 to be exact. It's more of a marathon rather than a sprint. So with knowing how chaos is, it's sometimes better to start in the back, but if you're a driver on that bubble line right now, sometimes stage points could be the difference between making it and not making it. So if you're someone that has a win, I don't think it's a bad strategy, but if you're someone that needs stage points, you may have to be willing to bite that bullet and take that risk. Next car up is going to be Alfred Denny in the number 29. He's been a driver that's, you could argue right now, has had a Hulkenberg-esque season so far, maybe a Hulkenberg-esque HTL career, consistently putting the car in good spots, but just has yet to find that elusive podium in the series. We'll see if today can be the day as he starts his flying lap here in his patriotic scheme here. Looks like it's at least a little bit of a throwback, obviously, to a Kevin Harvick-inspired, Kevin Harvick, Stuart Haas-inspired paint scheme with a little bit of a ting to his RCR base. So as he comes out of... Oh, go ahead, Kristina.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think this is actually off of the 2013 car, so I think it is a full RCR build. just a little bit of nerd fact there, but as you mentioned, coming across the line for a 30.361, 350 as it corrects itself, only fast enough for 9th, so definitely the RCR build, and not the one from Stuart Haas, making it towards the bottom of the leaderboard. And Henderson now coming across with a really nice lap indeed. He's going to go provisional pole in the Dale Jr. throwback, and takes provisional pole. Henderson's going to be thrilled about that.
Well, I would personally say right now that a little bit of a, maybe a little bit conspiracy here is that the race is sponsored by Blankenship Freight Lines. And if you look a little bit what's on the hood, it's currently sponsored by Blankenship Freight Lines. So who knows? Maybe just pulling a few strings here. But good enough for Blake, though, to put down a good time. Next up, Zachary Apperson up next to do his qualifying run here. He's going to be one of 2 cars to hit the circuit here. We'll see what exactly he can do here. The other car on track is Josh Arnold behind him. So the 4 and the 2, worth noting, divisible by each other. So as the 4 comes across the line right to start their flying lap, Apperson obviously seeing his teammates finding victory lane, getting wins. It's kind of breaks your psyche down a little bit knowing that they can win. Why can't I find my way in the victory lane right yet? And Apperson has been definitely showing good pace, improvements, finding time. But it's just a matter of time before he can strike that. And he's kind of in mind, why not today? Why not me? So as the 4 is going to pinch the line here, ditching the Ghost Energy scheme for a bright blue paint scheme here for Coley Hoachman Productions across the line. It's going to be a good lap there. It's going to be good enough for P9 in the top 10 at the very least.
Yeah, and it's Josh Arnold now in a Keselowski throwback. Lots of throwbacks to real-life cars. The number 2, the Blue Deuce, across the line. Is it going to do any better than his divisible compatriot? It will. P5 for Josh Arnold. Well done for that Ford Dark Horse. And, yeah, as you mentioned, Apperson, while we wait for the next car to come on track, I want to mention he's been getting a little better every week. So even though he hasn't quite found the magic that maybe some of his teammates has, he has not been a slouch. And of course, we did see when Rudy Valentine hopped in that car for Sonoma, taking over Apperson's place, it did find victory lane. So the number 4 machine, that equipment is quick, and Apperson has been acclimating, and not the best qualifying in the world, but not the worst either. So something good to build off of for tonight, as we have former champion now Zachary Meredith going on racetrack.
At the very least, if he doesn't make the playoffs, he has one bright spot he could say is that he will be competing for the Owners' Championship with that win. That will at least get that car competing for Owner Championship, and obviously the team happy as well, because that gives bigger payouts the higher you finish. Next up, Zachary Meredith, former champion. Obviously right now the English driver. Interesting to see an a U.S. Air Force and an American flag on the hood.
Playing along nicely.
Yeah, playing along nicely in enemy territory at the very least. But regardless, he is actually should have been the Navy, considering the British and their history with sailing and all that. But anyway, Apperson going to come out here, going to have the backstretch here, coming up high, running similar laps to everyone else. Pretty okay lap right now, but not, I would say, the fastest through Sector 1. He's really going to have to pick it up through the next 2 sectors here. Really pinching that low line there, getting as low as he dares. Car still looking a little planted, but not fast. Across the line, a 30.50. That's going to be good enough for 15. So the car's fast, but maybe he's going to have to be willing to stick that thing on a little bit more, as it looks like Ellis has had an invalidation. I
think Ellis might have actually ended up going out first, perhaps, with a 30.720, so at 18th place, a very slow lap for the 11, but I think they may have squeaked out ahead of the 17 and launched a touch early, because they are scored as 18th on my leaderboard, at least.
Yeah, mine as well, so you are correct, Kristina. That lap counts, so obviously we'll give their flowers now. P18 for the fill-in driver, Casey Ellis, and doing good right now at the very least in the fill-in role. Obviously, big shoes to fill with Lily Frazier not in that car the past couple weeks, but doing good right now. Next up, Matthew Booth, number 28, also with a BFL on the hood here. Obviously, with it being the main sponsor, a lot of drivers going all out to rep that company and put it on the hood. So Boone right now, another driver that you could say it's been a little bit of a long time since he's found victory lane, but you know he's someone that can always do it on a pinch. He comes out to it. Oh, he kicked the wall, and that is going to be Invalidation City, and he is going to have to go down pit lane and call it a lap. So that's going to pivot us nicely to Seth Wansing in the 5, as he's running, well, he runs the scheme every week, but it's got the patriotic flavor to it.
Yeah, now it blends in with everybody else. Matches the walls even, as he heads down the back straightaway and sails it off into turn number 3. Look at the way that car just pointed right down there, Kevin. Gets right down on that painted blue line. Gets right around the corner. It looks like a strong lap visually. We'll see if the times back that up. Across start finish, it's going to be a 30.310. Is it going to update to be anything else? No, it will stay at 310. Not fantastic, but inside the top 10 after 20 cars have gone. So about mid-pack so far.
Yeah, right now it is working well. Obviously, we still have well over quick math time for me to skim field. We got about 14 more cars to go here. Bianca Constantinu up next in the 57. They'll be one of the two cars right now. And I will say this, obviously, you and Race Control right now, Honorary Race Control, Carmen Sienna, had a little bit of a bet going on about how long this qualifying session was going to go. And right now, I think Carmen is winning her bet at the very least.
Hey, I didn't say anything about money. There was no bet for money on this. I want to make that clear.
It was a bet of pride. It was a bet of honor.
Let's go gambling.
Let's go gambling indeed. Ah, dang it. But anyway, Constantinu hoping not to gamble on this qualifying run and end up hitting the broke. So as they come across the line and start their run through 1 and 2, looking good at the moment, keeping it planted. But we'll see here, and this is what I've been noticing on these runs, when a car feels almost too stable, you know, sometimes you're taking that trade-off for stability, but maybe not getting the speed you need.
Well, you know, it's like they say, if everything feels good in the car, you're not going fast enough, but Bia coming across the line, one of the most aggressive drivers in the entire series, at least as far as theatrics are. Not going to put in a very quick lap, though, and I think that was indicative of the fact that we didn't see the back end of that car all over the place as Yahir Rodriguez nearly bins it out of turn 4. That looks fast. If it's across the line, it's a 30.2. It looked like it was going to wreck, and there it is. Pretty quick lap, 7th place for Yahir Rodriguez in the Air Force number 95, and I think there's something to that theory here, Kevin. If it looks like it's planted, it's pretty slow. If it looks like it's about to go into the grandstands, it stands a good chance for pole.
Yeah, that's very least, but you got to be able to control the bucking Bronco, and someone that has had a failed sim racing career, that's something I've always never been able to get used to. You got to be willing to be on the edge, per se, and it always feels a little bit scary. Like going in that big ball of death on a motorcycle, you got to keep the foot down when you get to the scary part. But anyway, Bobby Blowers up next, Super Sub Bobby Blowers in another ride this time, rocking out the number 23 here, filling in for Tommy Withers. The other car is going to be Lilac Zier in the number 50. She's the usual here in her stepping stone machine. Right now, the 23 going to come across the line in the Luke Combs-inspired paint scheme, obviously in a camo thing, so it's kind of hard to see him out there, almost blending in with the foliage.
Goes the high line.
Oh, interesting. We saw Dotson do the same thing. So maybe Blowers using a bit of that truck knowledge he sees as he is a strong driver in the HTL Truck Series. Maybe using a little bit of that knowledge to try to put down a time. Obviously with Dotson, it wasn't the strongest. We'll see if Bobby Blowers can do it better here. Pinches it low, car kicks a little. As he comes across the line, where will he slot his machine?
Not bad.
It's going to be, yeah, good lap there. Waiting for it to update, 13th.
About mid-pack. For running the high line, that wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be there, Kevin. It was a very good lap for having ran that. I think Lilac might have just tagged the wall there. We'll see if she gets away with it. I heard the contact. It might have just been light enough, but yeah, it is. She gets away with it. Incredibly lucky there, and a nice lap to boot. 12th and 13th for those two cars, respectively.
Yeah, good. That was a good save there at the very least, and you'll see them come around here. Probably all smiles that lap counted, but now going to be maybe in a bit of the hornet's nest, though. So it's one of those things where, yay, my lap counted, but now you're going to be in that range that Kristina calls the danger zone.
So real quick, hearing here from the pit lane, Dustin Hall reporting huge track temp fluctuations, which could be responsible for some real wild card results here headed into the back end to qualifying, as Richard Odie, one of the underdogs, making his way out in the Sherry Strong 78 machine. But yeah, between the wind and the temperatures, Kevin, there is a lot of variables here. This is something that people talk about a lot with this single car qualifying that makes it as exciting as it is a bit of a lottery. We were making jokes about gambling earlier. It's a bit of a gamble based on when you go out. Richard Odie all the way up against the wall, but takes a late arc down. We'll see what the temperatures continue to do. This is a talking point that has always been a part of HTL single car qualifying, because you never know when the temperatures are going to be just right for you.
Yeah, you see that same thing in the Champ Car 500 qualifying, where I was waiting for my run, waiting for my number to be called, and eventually the track was so hot, it was just basically you had to get that car and make sure it stayed planted to get into the field. We'll go up the track in a second. You're on the temps, but right now Odie goes across the line. P24, one of the slower laps, but Odie is definitely a Sunday warrior, not a Saturday one. Here comes Gary Donaldson. He crossed the line as 22. It's going to be P23, so times are falling.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a theory to it, and we'll see right here. Temperature is 72, holding about the same. Very cloudy track. Wind is falling a bit, now down to 8 miles an hour. But I can say one thing, as I've been slowly watching the track temperatures begin to climb. Before Odie started his lap, it was at 99. Now it's at 101. Now, I'm not 100% what it started the session at, but it's safe to assume it's been steadily and steadily climbing. So this is kind of maybe a positive, at the very least, with how this system works for HTL qualifying, is the drivers that go out first are the drivers that had poor runs last week, while the cars that go out later are the cars that had good runs the previous week. So obviously Joshua Sosi, who won last week, will be the last car to go in this session, and as we go further on, you see more cars go out. So it favors the cars that maybe had a poor week to get a bounce back if the track conditions fluctuate in the right section. So Swatsworth coming across the line, he will start his one and only flying lap here in his number 18 Toyota. Obviously, again, being a driver that was oh so close to a championship last season and was at Auto Club Fontana just a couple weeks ago and was so close to getting that maiden win and has kind of been floundering ever since. Not in a bad sense, but just in a sense of just not been able to really find that form to get that win. We'll see if he can do that tonight as Swatsworth comes across the line. Going to be a 30.805. And
not
yeah,
great. Through 3 and 4, he clipped the apron there quite a bit, got the car way out of shape. He had to chase it all the way up the hill out of turn 4. And on top of that, with the track temps, it just does not seem to be favoring the drivers right now too much at all. So only one car on that run now. They've sent Martin Roberg out in the 33 machine. So at least from what I'm checking here, it doesn't look like anybody went out with Shad. It was him by himself. So and Dustin Hall giving us the info we need here. The track temp started at 97. It dropped to 90, which is about when we saw our pole sitters at our first few rows go out. But then it's climbed steadily from there. So we'll see if it cools down again before the end. What were you ooping about there, Kevin?
I was just about to say, I was looking to see if anyone was on the track, but no, you were correct. I thought Pendel was, but Pendel is on a flying right now. So it's going to be Roberg and Pendel. Roberg crossed the line first. Obviously, for being a debutant the past 2 weeks, he's been doing good, steadily finding times, and still have been knocking away for a victory. So he is on his flying right now. Pendel has also started his as well here. So it's Roberg coming through 3 and 4, gonna pinch that low line, really gonna get on that blue paint there. Really wants to paint it down there. As he comes off the 4, almost clips the wall, which sometimes can be a bit of a fast thing. Across the line, 30.534. Now you can see the indicative right now. That is going to be 22nd. So with this track being 102 temperature, and for some drivers that may have had that sweet spot like Henderson, Sasic, Braille, who had those runs in that 90 range on track temp, you can see the effects of this. So pretty much anyone that's firing off here can kiss pole position goodbye. They're just trying to get as close to the front as they can.
Yeah, collective groan from the pit lane now as 6 straight cars have turned some of the most bottom times of the field. This is going to set us up for an incredibly interesting and stressful event for a lot of these drivers because it's going to put some of the fastest cars towards the back of the field and some of the slowest cars at the front, bar a few. Obviously, Breo, Sasic, Henderson are quick any day, solid top 10 drivers regardless, but a lot of the cars going out now are they finished better last week, and a lot of them consistently finished better, but we got some drivers like we saw Pendel, Constantinu, Swatsworth, Donaldson, all outside of the top 20 as Selena Thompson starts her qualifying lap, and Byron Jones, who was on pole last week, dead last in 29th, and only a handful of cars to go. Kevin, this is going to be a really exciting start to the BFL 300, but hopefully they all keep the fenders on it.
Yeah, you got to keep the fenders on if you want to keep it fast. Selena Thompson obviously running something different this week. You usually see her in a Menards American Airlines paint scheme. Now she's running a NOS Energy, but still keeping the yellow for Menards, though, at least subtly on the machine. Coming across the line, it's going to be a 30.485, so faster than some of the previous cars we've seen, but only good enough for 19th.
First top 20 we've seen, though, in about 6 or 7 cars. Sorry to cut you off, but really interesting to note that.
Yeah, no, if you got a good fact to bring up there, it's always good to hear from it. Eli Flores, another driver here coming across the line. Another driver that had a good run last week. That's going to be P27. Not a good run. That is not going to be the slowest out of the cars, but definitely bottom 5 right now at the moment.
Yeah, unfortunately, we can't show you the track temperature with the telemetry we have on hand. We can only show you the ambient, but believe us, if you didn't believe us before what we were talking about or what Dustin Hall was reporting from the pit lane, it is miserable conditions right now compared to what the likes of Henderson and Sasek had. I think Henderson's set to take pole here, Kevin, unless we have a drastic swing in the next 10 cars. We're running out of cars to go. Carmen, I'll eat my hat here on air and say you did a very quick job cycling these cars through, but we see Connor Morse back of the car for the first time in a while, one of the youngest drivers at HTL, filling in for Pacey Wygant, who usually pilots the 00 machine. Connor's a very quick driver, so we'll see what he turns. This is going to be a pretty definitive one. He's been very competitive last season when he ran, fairly competitive in the race or two that he's ran this year. You know what they say about those younger drivers, especially with the reaction times and not having to go to work and stuff like that. There is a lot of potential. But through 3 and 4, we'll see what he turns.
Next time, you're going to start blaming him for other things like the real boomers do across the line.
Oh, stop. I'm 24.
I'm technically older than you, but
yeah,
hey.
Technically you are.
The young rule the earth, as they would say.
Yeah.
So as the doubles near across the line, it's going to be P23 for them. The 3 is going to come across the line as well. They're going to finish their run. Pretty good run
wow.
there. 5. Worth noting, the track is 101 Fahrenheit right now for track temp. So making it work for what it is.
Knowing Caitlin, she's going to be furious about that, because could you imagine what she could have turned had she had a cooler track there? Incredible to see someone else jump out, not even in the top 20, but into the top 5. But yeah, I think she's going to be more upset than anything. Sosi up next, another powerhouse driver. We'll see what he can do. I think with Height running a 5th place there, they're going to be talking to each other as teammates. I think Susie might have a real shot to jump up and try and dethrone Henderson, but with the temperatures, like you said, up to 102 now, it is going to be so tough to pull off.
But I think if anyone could do it, I'm not betting against Joshua Sosi here. He comes across the line to start his flying lap. Did see a quote he did in the iRacing chat here. One quote word, I guess, not a word, but a sentence. Screw you, iRacing track temperature gods. So he's clearly understanding this is going to be a hard road here and make something happen, while I'm seeing other drivers posing the rig theory about Blake Henderson's time here. But anyway, as Sosi comes across the line in 3 and 4 here, we'll see what he can do here. Can he take that pole position away from the Henderson? Coming across the line, he'll have to beat a 29. It's only going to be a 30.338, and it's only going to be enough for 17th. So he's going to have some work to do in the main race.
Yeah, absolutely. The mail always gets delivered, but it'll be a bit late tonight.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, that's going to be at least the very least. But hey, it delivers late. It's better it would be delivered at all. So Blake Henderson is going to be the man with the plan. He will take pole position here in the Crown Jewel. So he's definitely all smiles. Remember, in the last Crown Jewel race he was leading with about 3 to go. He ended up getting in a major pileup, and that took him out of contention. So hopefully he can right those wrongs in that 25 and lead this fleet to glory. So qualifying is now officially done with a time of 32 minutes. So Carmen was even lower on her expectations. So away we'll fly to warm up.
I've never been happier to be wrong, Kevin. That was a very, very speedy qualifying session. Hey, this camera angle is from the pit lane suites. I feel like such a nerd because now I know all this from walking around yesterday. But yeah, no, this is great. I think this is going to be a good race. We saw only person in the whole back half to really put it within the top 15 with those track temps was Caitlin Height, which is rather incredible to see what happened there. But Blake Henderson is going to be thrilled to get the pole position on a track that he enjoys, a race that is probably the one he circled the most on his calendar, more so than even Daytona. It's going to be a really good start. Hopefully that fairy tale doesn't end early for him, because I know, and you know, Kevin, how much that does to you as a driver after you've had a string of bad luck to be able to come back, punch above your weight, and get a pole position here.
Should be worth noting as well, kind of run over some of the facts here about him. He obviously has the longest winless drought and of active drivers, 57 wins and counting since his last win. Next closest is Matthew Boone. And to kind of add to that point, obviously he's also in the winless drivers count, and he's also looking to try to get more in the playoffs, because remember last year he didn't get in the playoffs because he didn't get that win, and he just fell just short on the cutoff race in Daytona. So getting that win could always change the season, change momentum, change the tones. and we'll see what he can do here. I know for a fact if he does get that win, he'll be all smiles hitting the booth. So we're halfway through warm right now. Other drivers using this opportunity to practice out, get used to the track, get some last-minute practice in kind of the pack you'll be in, or using this as an opportunity to practice green flag pit stops because you don't want to be caught napping at this track going from 180 down to about 50, or do I think a David Reagan or JJ Yaley did in real life. Yeah, Yaley and Mark Martin. So you want to make sure you merge, let people know you're merging, and come on in successfully, and you will be able to make it. And obviously, you do not want to speed on that point. So we see some nice little scenic shots as Kristina is showing us around the track. She was able to walk around. Obviously, that speed billboard's no longer present as it scans a little bit on the older side. But overall, though, it's a very pretty track, has some good commodities, and always provides some great racing.
Yeah, absolutely, and plenty of places to sneak around in that maybe you shouldn't be in, but not my problem anyways. Yeah, just a few minutes to go now until we get the probably second biggest race of the season despite the Daytona 500 underway. It's going to be an exciting one to watch for sure. Thank you guys for being here with us for it. Again, I'm Kristina Ryan. Alongside, obviously, is Kevin Young, who has been doing, I must say, a fantastic job over the last few weeks and months, putting in a lot of effort and helping these ABM broadcasts be the best they can be. So as we see the cars coming in, like you said, practicing those green flag pit stops, which could be a possibility. There's 3 stages tonight, despite this being the theoretical Coca-Cola 600. Still only 3 stages, both of which coming on lap 50 and 100, giving us a 108 lap dash to the end, provided we don't have to go to HTL's version of overtime. It is worth noting there will be a halftime break at the end of that second stage where the field will come down and give a bit of a moment of silence as, oh my goodness, who is that who has just had a horrendous crash down the front stretch? I think that's Selena Thompson testing out the safety equipment of the next generation of NASCAR cars in the number 27 machine. But hopefully getting all that out of the way before the green flag, because this race is known to bring a lot of chaos with it. We talked about at the top of the show, Kevin. It's a very narrow track. It's very unforgiving, very bumpy, and these cars in particular are some of the hardest to handle of the stock car library that iRacing offers. Hopefully it's a good race, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a big string of cautions to kick this one off.
Well, we'll see that, but I always keep the hope that we always have the possibility Selena Thompson has another wild ride up the road. Luckily, well, no one will pile on in and she will tow out. Another quick fun fact as well for the Blake Henderson fans out there. This is Henderson's first ever pole in the HTL Cup Series. In his first 91 races, he won 3 times, but never led the field to green. So checking off maybe a race that's very special to him, checking off a first in his HTL Cup Series. So, hey, 91 races to get a pole. A lot of drivers would rather have wins over poles, especially when he's got 3 of them, but he can definitely take that as well. Also, as well, if you're watching live, prediction has officially started. Looks like who will have the chance at victory to win the BFL 500. You got another 30 minutes to vote, and the choices are Blake Henderson, Eli Sasek, Jeremy Braille, Tommy Reynolds, Caitlin Height, Dustin Hall, Josh Sosi, or other. So if you are watching live right now on twitch.tv/ABN Esports, you can use your channel bits to vote on who you think will win this race. And we'll keep an eye on that and update it throughout the show. So anyway, warm-up has now officially concluded, and we are going to get ready for the main festivities, the Blankenship Freight Lines 500, coming up in just a moment. So now we are back live here, ready for the BFL 500. But before we can get everything started, we got to run over the starting grid another time here and let everyone know where everyone currently fires off. So as they all begin to spawn on in and get on the track, we will take a look at where everyone fires off. Blake Henderson, Eli Sasek lock out the front row. They will be in row number 1. Row number 2 is going to be Jeremy Braille and Tommy Reynolds Arrowhead, going to lock up row 2. Row number 3 is going to be Caitlin Height and Josh Arnold. Moving on to row number 4, Dustin Hall and Yahir Rodriguez looking to make up for last week, leading the most race laps, couldn't get the win. Row number 5, DJ Trout and Kevin Gibney with a good qualifying performance. They will make row number 5. Row 6, Canada's Dean Clavitt trying to represent Canada Day with Seth Wansing outside of him in row 6. Row 7, Lilac Sear and Zachary Apperson will make up row 7. Row 8, Super Sub Bobby Flowers and Hunter Peach will make up row number 8. Row number 9, Josh Wasosi trying to send the mail. Alfred Denny will flank him on the outside. Row number 10 will be Caleb Eichler, and the Dr. Pepper Man, Austin Mongold, will be in row 10. Row 11, Selena Thompson and Zachary Meredith, the only English driver in the field, trying to bring home a win and spoil the patriotic day. Row 12, William Britton and Connor Morrison, the filling for Pacey Wygen. They will make up row number 12. Row number 13, DeMonte Dodson, the rookie, and Martin Roberg, the new to the series, will be in row number 13. Row number 14, Christopher Pendel and Bianca Constantinou will make up row 14. And in row number 15, we got Gary Donaldson and Eli Flores. They'll be in row 15. Row 16, Casey Ellis, filling in for Arrowhead's Lily Frazier, and Richard Odie will be in row 16. And in row 17, it will be Shad Swatsworth and Byron Jones in row 17. I think we got one more row to go here. Matthew Boone and Caleb Carter will make the last row of the grid here in row number 18. So that is how they will all fire off. And Kristina, I usually ask Joe this question, but I will ask you since you are now here joining us in the booth. Who do you think is the favorite to take home the checkered flag after 208 laps?
Well, if it is rigged like everybody says, it'll be an easy sweep for Henderson. No, I'm just kidding. I think it's going to be a really tough one. Henderson is going to be strong. I think we look back at real life Coca-Cola 600s, you think of the wild card winners we've had. Austin Dillon, Brian Vickers, David Rudeman. They have come from nowhere to win these races. Jamie McMurray, as you mentioned, in his first couple races. It is so fitting if Henderson can pull off the upset and get back in victory lane tonight. However, I want you to keep your eyes on Caitlin Height in that number 3. She set a blistering time in the hottest temperatures we saw during qualifying, put it in the top 5. We said she'd be kicking herself because what could have been if it was cooler temps? Well, now everybody's on an even playing field. Watch for that Williams Camaro to come to the front.
I'll throw out a few names as well. Obviously, Blake Henderson, definitely can't count him out here. Finally got his first pole position. Momentum working his way. I love him at this chance to get this win. I'm also going to say Seth Wansing, seeing him a lot run the HTL Cup Series. He is very strong at the intermediate tracks. And lastly, you talked about underdogs. You talked about surprise winners. I'm thinking Kevin Gibney Jr. He's going to pull a Casey Mears and find a way to get that number 1 in victory lane after 208 laps. There you saw on the right of the screen how the stages are going to break. It's going to be lap 50 and lap 100 for the 2 stage breaks in this race. And obviously the fuel tanks, they'll make it to the end on stage 1 on fuel. But there'll be some question marks in the second stage, and if everything goes green in the final stage, they will have to pit at least one time for fuel. Pace car going to get on ready here. They are going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane. It is going to be on control on green. Looks like a quick note as well. Byron Jones and Dean Clavitt both going to be starting from the pit lane. Pace car going to take the lonesome trip, take the lonesome road down it. It's going to be on control. Green flag is out, and the Henderson Blankenship Freight Lines 500 is underway.
'36 of iRacing's finest roar out of turn 4, lap 1 in the books. It is Henderson back on point for what feels like the first time in years as he leads now off into turn number 1 ahead of a side-by-side battle now between Sasic and Jeremy Borreo, and so far so good for everybody in the field.
The dead man has risen from his tomb, and right now he is taking reins on the field. Right now, Sass is going to get clear for second. Then you can see teammates fighting for third. They'll be side-by-side off-corner exit. It looks like it's going to be a concede for Braille. Now Reynolds getting a bit strong here. He wants to make a way around here. They're 3 wide right there. You can see the Air Force car has to cut the grass just a bit of Yair Rodriguez. And is going to lose a couple spots. But one driver on the move right now is that 5 of Seth Wansing. He's already up to 7th position. He is climbing very quickly, almost like he's driving like he stole it.
Yeah, you hear Rodriguez taking no prisoners and getting right to work here. Of course, started back in the field. We talked about being a fast car, barred in the back because of the qualifying temperatures, going 3 wide, 2 tires on the turf. Can't get away with that one too many times, but it's early enough to force someone's hand. We're riding on board with him now off into turn number 1, but so far it's all behind Blake Henderson, who has rocketed off to almost a half-second lead on lap 4.
That's what you want to see right now. Big gap in your mirrors, but you don't want to make your tires get burned up too quickly here and make something happen and fall quite quickly through the field. Seeing the wide shot there, cars are beginning to fan out here. Wanson's going to make the move on Arnold to put Wanson matching his car number in the top 5. But you can see Arnold kind of hanging on here from behind. It's Yahir Rodriguez and Apperson actually making a battle here for position. So battle raging on here just inside the top 10. The 4 and the 3 side by side here.
3 wide again.
Out 3 wide.
Yeah, 3 wide again. Here is Breo just for a moment with Yahir Rodriguez and that 2 of Josh Arnold. Yahir gonna be the beneficiary again in that 95. He is moving quickly to the front of the field and is almost within the top 5, right behind Seth Wansing, who you said was on the move as well. Both of them making up plenty of places to start this off, and now we have a battle for the lead as Henderson is side by side with Tommy Reynolds, the Daytona 500 winner, and just behind them, waiting in the wings, is that number 12 Dustin Hall, and now we have a change for the lead just for a moment, but Henderson's gonna fight this out on the bottom.
You know Dustin Hall's had 6 wins over his HTL Cup Series career. Definitely a driver that has been shocked not have found a way yet to victory lane. Even he would probably tell you his form has been not the greatest, and he wants to try to rectify that right now. But Tommy Reynolds, to the point, obviously we'll have statistics pull this up, and maybe after this race we'll hear from it, but I don't think any driver in the HTL Cup Series has won 2 Crown Jewel events in the same season. Right now, Reynolds looking poised to do that, but it is only lap 7, so we'll have to hold our horses just a bit. Dustin Hall on the inside of Blake Henderson there, and going to make it look like child's play. Put 12 up second. Henderson now getting the fall a bit. He'll be in 3rd.
Remember Eli Sasek, we talked about him, how he needs to get some consistency. There he is, sitting in 4th place right now, too. A great start for the Ascent leader in that number 9 machine. Seth Wansing still not going anywhere, and Yahir Rodriguez looking to make his next move as he sits just outside the top 5. Another move for the lead now is Dustin Hall's going to have his shot at Tommy Reynolds. He wants to put that number 12 on the point.
Yeah, we'll see if they make the move happen. Leading laps builds confidence, but Reynolds not going to chip away. He will keep that lap led, so add another one to the 96s, but Hall is showing his hand here. He can get to the front. He wants to make the lead here and take the lead. And even in the far shot, they're pretty racy there for the 5th position, but right now it's still Hall, and I think Henderson may try to push the 12 here clear.
Yeah, and he is. They're going to try to work together. The 12 couldn't quite get the advantage, but he's going to drive it in deep in turn 3. This is the stuff you love to see out of NASCAR as they're door-to-door coming out of turn 4. Reynolds hangs on for another lap.
You know those two are kind of in a partnership, I believe. I can be corrected the record if I'm wrong here, but 25 and 12, Unforgiven and Tombstone. Obviously, basically one team owns the other. Henderson obviously owns Unforgiven, and he obviously runs for Tombstone. He will help out that 12 wherever he can. We're riding aboard here with the 44 of Jeremy Brault. As you can see right there, side by side with Seth Wansing. And this is what we kind of saw in real life. You can't truly pull away here. It becomes kind of mini pack racing to a degree, except we're really needing the push here. Hall will lead that lap. Now Henderson is going to try to put Reynolds back into the spot here. And if Reynolds can't maybe get the form down, he could get trained on that low side.
I gotta say, I was a little bit worried when I saw Henderson drop 2 spots in 1 lap after the lead he had. Maybe he had burned up those Goodyear Eagles already, but I think he realized he had too big of a gap and started to save his rubber a little bit. He's staying in this fight, was challenging for 2nd and hangs on to 3rd. But here comes Yahir Rodriguez. He's continuing his charge to the front. On the outside lane, he's gonna challenge for the podium.
Yeah, they'll be side by side here, still a ways away for a stage break. So definitely gonna have to keep this thing clean. Yahir, though, remember after last week with the heartbreak, got busted for a lane violation late. And that took him out of contention. So you know Yahir knows they got a fast car. They can win races, and they're going to try to make up for that after the big last week. But look at that! Reynolds goes a little bit too deep, hits the 12 of Hall, going to open the door for Yahir on the low side. Reynolds apologetic on the radio for the mistake, and luckily everyone keeps it pointing in the right direction, so no harm, no foul, as he's the main beneficiary to be the mistake there. But right now, it's going to be Yahir to second. And I spy my little eye, the 23 of Bobby Blowers, super sub Bobby Blowers. He's got his wins the top 10 after starting in the 20s.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, the incredible thing about that is I don't think I heard Yahir lift. He just kept it planted, found the hole, and squeaked through into P2. So he's taking great advantage of what could have been a disaster early on in this race. They are racing hard but fair early on, and we're on board with the 23 now, as you mentioned, up already into the top 10, running in 8th place, making that high line work, and trying to go to work now on Jeremy Braille.
As they trying to make a move here, and again, Reynolds gets a little bit closer with Blake Henderson, will slot in position for 4. But there is, right there, it's worth noting right now, 10th place is the last of the stage points right now. That is Seth Wanzing, and you can see he is swarmed right now by both the four of Zachary Apperson, and you can also see behind him a big train, the 93 of DJ Trout, the Hunter Peach, a few other cars as well. So there's no real reprieve here. You got to save your stuff, or you could fall outside the top 10 just like that.
Yeah, I gotta say, we saw Seth Wanzing make an early charge to the front, but now he's starting to scoot back quite a few spots, about to fall out of that top 10. I wonder if this is like a similar strategy to what we saw with Henderson, where maybe it's a strategic amount, trying to save some tires for the end of the stint, or perhaps struggling a little bit, maybe heat cycle those tires a bit aggressively early on. These Goodyear Eagles are incredibly sensitive to the first 10 laps of a run. If you push too hard too early, you will find yourself in trouble.
I'll say option C as well. I know Seth's not a driver to do this, but maybe playing it a little bit conservative here, knowing how close and argy-bargy it is. It just takes one driver, like we saw with Tommy Reynolds a couple laps ago, just making a slight lapse in concentration, and you may see 5, 7, 9 cars go into the retirement zone. So you got to be careful and be conservative. But right now, riding up over here with Hunter Peach, speaking of a driver, you can see him going back and falling quickly. It is the 96 Tommy Reynolds. He is falling out and is almost going to fall outside the top 10 possibly.
Yeah, I think he's not doing himself too many favors with those hot tires. Of course, you saw he did a great job not to cause a huge incident. He's now going to be almost 3 wide in the middle. He is 3 wide in the middle, in fact. He's going to be in a horrible situation coming into 3 of 4. Looks like they're going to make it work. Those are 3 very, very talented drivers making it work out. Blowers ends up hitting the wall a little bit in sympathy there, trying to give room to Reynolds. I'll hold my thought here while we still stay 3 wide, nearly contact through the dog leg there as Height had to back out of that one. And now they're all knocking on the back bumper of the 5 of Seth Wanzing, and everybody's checked up. It's a traffic jam behind Eli Sasek and Seth Wanzing.
I don't want to be kind of an interesting fact here, but what happened to Dustin Hall? He was currently inside the top 5, and now he is completely gone, and it looks like he actually deconnected here.
Yeah.
He's recently rejoined, so he had a disconnection. That promoted Yahir to the lead, and look at Josh Arnold go here. He wants to lead a lap. He will not lead that one, but he is on the door here trying to get back inside to take the lead position away. On the low side,
Wow.
he will get clear. Good move by the 2, so put him to the lead, but Yahir not going away.
Oh my goodness, great racing to kick off this event. But yeah, typically Dustin Hall, usually we don't make a big deal about it because Dustin Hall's known to blinking. And those that might be new to iRacing, the internet connections, when they become unstable, you just disappear for a little bit. Typically only like a half second or a second, but this time he completely dropped. So that's heartbreaking for him. No damage to that number 12 machine, but it's going to take him a while to get back in this race. He'll be at least 2 laps down. So his BFL 300 may be ending early, but Josh Arnold sensing blood in the water, aggression with Yahir Rodriguez, and the 2 most aggressive drivers at the start of this race are now suddenly battling for the lead, and Arnold has got it this time by.
Yeah, another driver saying, where did he come from for up 5 spots where he has qualified. Dustin Hall is back in the lobby now, but can report that he's at least a couple down here. Problem is Byron Jones is also 1 lap down as well. So that's knocking out Hall's situation to try to get back on the lead lap. Riding aboard here with Blake Henderson, following along, I should say. Currently, again, pinching that low side. Seth Wanzing going to go to the high side here. Going to leave him like a bad prom date on that low line. And he's going to fall a little bit further back into P8. Now DJ Trout going to make a move, try to make a spot. But up front, it is still the Josh Arnold show.
Yeah, Arnold really waited to make his move, saw the opportunity to not just gain 1 position, but go to the lead, and that clean air is oh so important in these race cars. This next generation car, very sensitive to the way that the air moves around. You can see everybody in front trying to search for a little bit of clean air. It's not quite as miserable as the days in 2020 with the old late Gen 6 with the massive billboard spoilers, but they still like to have clean air as any race car would. The battle not over though, as you see Yahir running that different lane, finding some momentum, but on board with Blake Henderson, he's hanging around in the top 10, still hanging on with our pole sitter.
Yeah, he is holding on and doing a great job as we speak to keep those lines. It's all about keeping the clean air and keeping the nose clean. Again, it reminds you a bit of Indianapolis in the Champ Car machinery. You want to keep the lines and keep the control and make sure you kill the runs when you can. And right there for P3, Eli Sasek was on the front row. Reynolds, again, every time we say drivers may fall back a bit, they always bounce back the other direction. Next thing you know, you see him battling for third. So it's almost like a, hey, you lose a little bit of time, you gain it right back. And you always strike back. Reynolds in third. Caitlin Height going to bring a move and clear for fourth. And now Sasek and Wanzing going to be side by side for fifth.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Height didn't start making moves earlier on, but I think she definitely took it in the back here and just tried to hold on, save some tires, and make some moves later in. I am so pleasantly surprised to see we've done the first half of this stage under green flag conditions and only one real mistake. And as I was about to mention that before you picked up on it, Kevin, great eye with Tommy Reynolds. He's gotten those tires cooled off after that incident, a little bit of heat dissipated, and now he's back on an even playing field. He's definitely taken some pain on those right-hand sides sliding the car, but he looks like he's managed well. He's changed his racing line, and he's found some more clean air, and that is going to be the king here tonight. And he's going to challenge for second.
Yeah, let me light the shrine candles real fast because I don't want you to jinx what we're seeing right now. It's going great right now, and Reynolds almost kissing the wall there, but he'll hold the spot to a very unconventional line. Almost say the 3 may have cut the 96, just a tiny break there. This was like 3 to go. I think that 3 would have kept the line there.
Would have been a big wreck, yeah.
Yeah, big indeed. So you got to at least know your spot, know your situation. Reynolds, though, not being deterred. He likes that high groove. He wants to kiss the wall, almost kiss the sunshine, and he's getting those runs right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and a great battle here for third place as well, but Reynolds is not letting this one go. He had a shot at it earlier, nearly wrecked the whole field. He said sorry, cooled off, cooled himself off, and now he's going for another attempt. He wants to win both crown jewels this year.
Yeah, that is definitely something he wants to do, and for someone that was only supposed to be a part-time driver, it was definitely worth noting. Worth noting right now, I'm hearing something. Josh Arnold just said he's pitting in here, and he's currently sitting in 6th position, so we may need to keep an eye on this. He said he's pitting in again. I think something's gone wrong. I think something's worth noting. Looking at
I don't think so. Yeah,
36, 39 laps. So
splitting the stage in half here. It's a 50-lap stage. They cannot make it under green to the end of the stage. And in comes Josh Arnold. He wants to do this the road course way. He's going to split this one right down the middle, get a fresh set of Goodyear Eagles, and he's got some company. It looks like Matthew Boone. Hey, I'd be pretty happy to see Boone coming to the pit lane. I mean, that means I'm not doing something incredibly wrong. So yeah, we may see more of this now because a couple have blinked. This might kick things off for the rest of the field.
I wouldn't totally discredit that as well. This is the undercut central. The problem is he will lose 1 lap, and if a caution comes out at a bad time, that could be the kiss of death for at least getting a good finish here. But right now, you'll see most of the cars, no one else electing to come down this time by. Going to try to run the tanks dry. And right now, yep, both 14-second stops for Arnold and Boone. They will now both leave the pit lane in succession. They will be both firing off 1 down. The both be merging successfully with no traffic, though, around them.
Oh,
there you can see a car almost
Sasek
kissing the wall. It's the A-Cent machine. It's the 9. It's the 9 of Eli Sasek. All those A-Cent race machines look similar from afar, but you can see he's got a little bit of some damage, but it's not affecting performance.
In the pit lane comes Seth Wanzing now as well in the number 5. He saw what was going on. He said, I got to get on this. I could lose too much time if I don't. In as well, I think is that Team Clapper back there? It's Meredith in the background. So quite a few drivers deciding to split this stage in half, and this is, I'm getting so excited, Kevin, because this means we're going to see alternate strategies throughout a green flag run, provided it stays green. These drivers that are staying out cannot make it to the end of the stage, I don't even think with saving. So we're going to have to see them pit eventually, and if it does go green all the way to the end, it'll be interesting to see who trumps out here, because they're going to have a half a stage to gain on these cars that decide to stay out. But as it stands, it's Rodriguez, Reynolds, and Height, but all of them have to make a pit stop before the end of the stage.
Should be worth noting as well, if you can see the shot here, we saw a pack before, now a car's pitting. It's only a 3-car breakaway, and then kind of a second groove here. So cars beginning to span out here, but right there, that is not what you want to see if you've come in early here. 3 wide, almost 4 wide there. Sosi, you know he's willing to send it because he delivers the mail. You can see pushing Lilacs here just a bit here, trying to find a lane. Henderson going to get split here, and with the time Henderson's losing, I'm shocked maybe someone's in his ear right now saying, hey, try to do the undercut like we saw with Wanzing, Meredith, Boone, all those drivers in between. It may be worth trying here. Another car in, it's going to be the 31 DeMonte Dotson. They will also be in for service as well, but I think it may be a bit of a different case for them as they've been at the clock for at least 30 seconds.
Yeah, that could be a damage or potentially a penalty. It's such a hard pit lane to get into, especially in recent years when they added that pit wall at the end. Charlotte didn't used to have that pit wall there. Makes things a lot more difficult and a lot more narrow. It's like a cavern as you slide in there, but we saw Zier getting into it with Susie and Henderson as Henderson continues to drop back a little bit, but that all started there with Eli Sasek scraping the wall about a lap ago. It doesn't appear to be any damage as we see Bobby Blowers tag it now as well. These cars are pretty tough with these composite bodies, but you definitely don't want to be smacking that car against the wall too much, because while the bodies are rigid, you know what's not, Kevin, is the suspension components of these cars. And if you have bad suspension around this racetrack, you're in for a very, very long night.
You are indeed. Obviously, when we do get to a caution break here, I would like to see his first of three is in the pit stall as well. But when we do get to the end of stage or a caution, I would like to see Zachary Meredith pitting in, because I think DeMonte Dodson ended up almost running into the back of Meredith when he was taking his pit stop, and it tore the front end off the clip. So maybe we can get a replay on that before stage ends, but that is why DeMonte Dodson has had a long damage clock. Yahir Arriga's in, will hand the lead over to Tommy Reynolds, and that's the dangers of green flag pit stops. Like I was talking in warm-ups, you gotta be careful when you enter pit lane and make it happen. So we can right here just a bit, and you're gonna see right here, right there, Meredith already coming on in. Did say on the radio he was pitting in, but you'll see right here the change of speed, gets loose on corner exit there, comes up the road, and then you can see Gibney gets in the Dotson, and Dotson hits the wall, and now it's race over for DeMonte Dodson.
Rather incredibly, Meredith still made it in the pit lane, but yeah, you're right. That kicked off when it was Bianca Constantinou that got into the back of that 17 machine and really started to kick everything off. People got all discombobulated, but we see a lot more takers now. We may have a full green flag cycle before it's over. Trout, Sasek, Yahir Rodriguez, as you mentioned, is in as well. So some more front runners peeling off, but it's Reynolds, Peach, and Zier as it currently stands. Zier, of course, went from being nearly the meat in the sandwich about 3 laps ago to now sitting on the podium currently.
Yeah, we'll see how this all cycles out. It's going to be interesting to see how it plays out with these alt strategies. There's another car coming in. Hunter Peach was on the radio saying he was pitting, so you can't fault the 20 for saying hand out the window. No. It just shows the speed differential coming off of 4, and if you're caught napping or you make a slight mistake, it could easily check it out. And look at this car park we got going on right now. 3 wide, 2 wide, 4 wide almost if you let them, and they're all flaming out here.
And a big mix of tires here as well. You see Matthew Boone making a huge move to the bottom there. Seth Wanzing, DJ Trout. This is a bunch of cars on fresh tires catching the field that is still yet to pit. This is the most confusing and sketchy part. And you can see here Seth Wanzing, of course they're lapped down as Apperson hits the pit lane, but they're about to unlap themselves. So even if a caution were to come out, if we get a few more laps before that, they'd be able to get back on and not have to take the wave around. That's why they're racing as hard as they are. But oh my goodness, it's so sketchy. You can see as everybody on different strategies and different tires. Here's Caitlin Height and Yahir Rodriguez slingshotting the bottom. I think Height's gonna pass 4 cars in 1 corner.
Oh, it reminds me of shades of Indianapolis where we saw Thomas Schechter making moves. Oh, you got to be careful here trying to make moves. Cars are pitting late here, too. They're all keeping it clean. This is what HTL is all about here. Spliting middles, keeping space, and leaving holes. You'll love to see it when it happens. Tommy Reynolds has spun on the pit lane exit. Tommy Reynolds has spun, and that is a caution.
And that's not going to collect anybody with critically. I think that might be a blessing in disguise, but my goodness. Lilac Zier will come around to take the caution. This is going to shuffle things up quite a lot, Kevin. However, the way things were forming there, the fact that it was a half spin to bring out the caution, I think we're all a bit lucky there.
That is going to pin at least 19 on down, 20 on down, a lap down here at the very least. We'll count that out real fast. 31, 32, 33, 33 cars a lap down. Well, 20 to 33, so 13 cars a lap down. This 33 to be the whole field. But should be worth noting, I was keeping an eye on Reynolds when he came in. He missed his pit box for starters. So we'll see here. You can see, obviously, that's the spin in question. He overshot his pit box. Then, I guess, trying to get aggressively out here on exit, on cold tires, trying to make up time. You can see he just comes out here, accelerates out.
Oh, over the bumps. He got a little too low there, Kevin. If you saw that, you don't want to go too far to the left because you'll hit those bumps. Absolutely incredible there that he honestly did a nice job saving it. I think that was an iRacing triggered caution because I really think we would have been okay there.
You are correct. That was not seeing race controller. That was not race controls doing. That was the iRacing thing.
Take a look at this.
Here. Yeah.
This is what we were watching just a moment ago. Here's Katie Height and Yahir Rodriguez, but I want to keep an eye on Yahir because watch what happens here just around him. It's that black car right in the middle of your screen. Watch as everybody checks up here. Bia gets turned sideways by Gibney. Everybody hangs on to it. Yahir basically runs himself on the apron out of 4 and down into the turf. They all get away with it. Kevin, I cannot believe they did not all pile it up here. You talked about how this is what HTL is all about. Once in a blue moon, we get one of those races that are just fairy tale stuff, absolutely mega from start to finish. It's a great start for one of those candidates tonight. Obviously still a lot of racing left to go, but here's the thing. We're gonna restart this race with about 8 or 7 to go in the stage. We're gonna have a lot of cars go around and get wave around, so we should not have a problem with all those lap cars. They should all get their laps back as we see Blowers is currently the leader in the 23. All these cars are going to get the wave around. They're going to be on slightly older tires, though. And then I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them come into pit again. This is your race leader, so every car in front is going to get at least 1 lap back. This is going to give us an exciting shootout to finish stage 1.
Yeah, obviously, though, the cars that are coming in here right now, they're pitting. They're basically going to get to keep the spots they have. For the cars that came in and got pinned 1 down, like Seth Wanzing, DJ Trout, Caitlin Height, they're going to get the wave round, and they're going to fire off probably around 18th, 19th, where they're currently out on track. So with how little laps are left, the likelihood of them getting stage points isn't high right now, but you never know, especially how they're driving. It could have been a lot worse. Should be noting as well, I'm seeing a few things right now. Dustin Hall just had another connection drop right there. That's the second one. He is rejoined right now. Martin Roberg has also just had a connection drop as well. So 2 cars at the moment struggling with their connections. Byron Jones 3 down as well. So you could say with DeMonte Johnson out of this race, Dustin Hall multiple down, Byron Jones multiple down as well, and Martin Roberg have a connection drop here. It's been a rough BFL 500 for those drivers, but outside of that, we still have 32 cars on the lead lap and 32 cars still running, which is definitely a good sign to see.
Yeah, I mentioned at the top of the show, you know, it wouldn't be uncommon to see a string of cautions open this race. Of course, this is a race that tends to be caution heavy even in real life, but so far, regardless of what happens from here on out, that may have been the finest 40 laps to open a race that we've seen in HTL, maybe ever, with how much racing there was, how much strategy was unfolding. It's a shame we didn't get to see it come to a full close, but at least we got an excellent stanza to kick things off. And I tell you what, Kevin, I am fully energized from seeing that. I'm excited to see how the rest of this event goes.
Yeah, indeed. It's definitely going to be a interesting situation to see how it all plays out. Bobby Blowers obviously caught it out perfectly. He will be taking the lead flag with Josh Vasosi to his outside, then Zier Henderson top 2. So the drivers that went the long strategy, it's worked out. Now they'll have a chance to get some stage points. But looking at some of these drivers inside this top 10, you got Caleb Carter right now currently sitting P9. Selena Thompson 10th. Some of the big movers. Josh Vasosi up 15 currently in 2nd. Lilac Sear up 10 in 4th. Kevin Gibney in 5th. A lot of these drivers using their opportunities and now kind of catching out here to get some good points, possibly.
Absolutely. Actually, I think we may have just had a small hiccup on the stream, but welcome back, guys. Sorry for that. But to conclude here, what's going on with the prediction votes in the chat? If you're watching along live, most people, 70 or 67%, believe that Katie Height's going to pull it off tonight. 33 people cheering for Blake Henderson, and a handful of people cheering for Dustin Hall as well. Those are the 3 that people think it's going to be between the 3, the 25, and the 12 tonight, according to our audience.
Yeah, obviously still a little bit of time left on that poll, I believe.
I think
maybe
20 seconds it just finished, so.
All right, 20 seconds. So yeah, that poll is now officially concluded. So bets are all locked in. Hopefully your driver you're rooting for, who you predicted, comes out. Obviously, Other is the favorite with most cars, but let's see how it all plays. As they're about to fire off here, it's going to be Blauer, Sosi, row 1, Henderson, Zier, row 2, Denny Gibney, row 3, Braille, Mongold, row 4, Thompson, Carter, your first 5 rows with Blowers having control on the restart here. Fire off on lap 44, and we will have 7 laps to go in the stage. Not a lot of time for those drivers that stayed out, came in to make up time here. Payaskar going to pull on off. It's going to be on Blowers' control. Green flag is out, and away we go. Good launch there by the 23. Sosi kind of spun the tires a bit.
Yeah, he did. And boy, it takes forever, it feels like, to see that green flag and the wheel spin throughout those back halves allow for Blowers to get a huge run. And hey, look at this. pole sitter, Blake Henderson, was fading back early on, stayed out, strategy fell in his favor. He finds himself back in the podium here, and we have 6 to go at the line. It looks like right now it'll be Blowers, Susie, and Henderson, the top 3, with, I believe, that Zier and the 29 of Gibney to finish out the top 5, now with 6 to go.
Yeah, indeed. They're fighting hard here and trying to get what you can get. They also have slightly fresher tires as well to those cars that stayed out, so they should be, at least for the moment, on the advantage. But Henderson drifting wide, he clips the wall.
They both do. They're all on the fence. All 3 of them hit the wall out of turn 2. Susie hit it the worst, though. Henderson going to gain a spot while knocking the right side off of that Ford Mustang. That's exactly what you see if you're Bobby Blowers, because now everybody is side by side and hitting each other behind you.
You got to be careful. You can kiss the wall a couple times. If you kiss it too much, you could put yourself in a bad spot with damage. But all of them kind of relatively got away with it unscathed. Gibney going to try to make a move this year on the high side. You got Henderson trying to make a move on the but Gibney in the wall again. 2 laps in a row. That one has flirted with the wall. But at the very least, it's still pointing in the right direction, and as far as I can tell, it looks relatively unscathed. So he'll keep going until he probably mows down the wall and moves it back a couple inches. But we come across the line here to start lap 47. It is still the Bobby Blowers show up front, but Susie and Henderson beginning to reel him in.
Yeah, with the fact that Susie and Henderson both have partners, I'm not sure they're going to take too kindly to them kissing the wall so much there out of turn 2. Blowers gets it and Susie gets it again. They're all over the fence out of turn number 2. But so far, they still hang on, and Henderson not giving up this fight for second.
Lewis stage was so valuable to try to win here. Susie holding and planting in the high side. It seems to be where the cars feel the most special here. Pit lane is officially closed with hit 2 to go in the stage. No more emergency services if you need it. If not, you will face a raft of the penalty. A little bit further back as well. Keep an eye on the battle for the last stage point. Clavitt and Pendel side by side with Austin Mongold looking to try to get a point here.
Yeah, he's got the Dr. Pepper in his mind, and he's going to try and get him a stage point for his troubles. This is the battle for P10. This last group, the last one out's the one who doesn't get a point, as they're dooring each other now. Everybody knows how valuable points are here tonight as they continue to fight it out behind, but it's all behind Bobby Blowers, the super sub, as he continues to gain on the 81 of Susie.
As we come across on the backstretch, next time by will be technically, I think Carmen closed it 1 lap too early, will now be the white flag in the stage, as looks like Blowers is still holding on, doing what he needs to do at the moment, but Susie is closing and closing quickly. White flag in stage number 1, Blowers, Susie, Henderson, your top 3, as it's still pretty racy for the last stage point between Clavitt and Mongold.
Yeah, they're not going to give that up. They're too feisty for each other at this point. They're going to nearly run each other over out of turn number 2, taking a second to focus on it because it looks like Blowers is going to have this one pretty well locked up. Clavitt and Mongold going to have one more go at it. It looks like Clavitt might just hang on to it, as Bobby Blowers is going to come around to finish off stage 1 in what has been an incredible start to the BFL 300.
I heard on the radio right there, Mongold a little bit upset, but kind of just like a tip the hat, like shake the fist at the kid on your lawn. So he will not get the stage point there. But Bobby Blowers will get the max haul. 10 beautiful points to him. Joshua Sosi will get 9. Moving our way down the field, Henderson finished 3rd in the stage. Gibney 4th. Lilac Sear 5th. Alfred Denny 6th. Christopher Pendel 7th. Selena Thompson 8th. Jeremy Braille 9th. And Dean Clavitt 10th. And one thing is, with some of those drivers in that top 10, like Clavitt, Braille, just barely above the cut line, 3 for Clavitt, 1 for Braille. Getting stage points there is crucial, and even Alfred Denny, who was now 1 below the cut line coming into tonight, getting 6 points could be the make or break when we get, because last week we were halfway through the calendar, and now we're on the back half of the regular season. You got to make sure you maximize your point efforts week in and week out.
I just got to say, what an amazing start. I know I've already said it a minute ago, but I would have bet all the money in the world they would have wadded it up before the end of the stage. They do that normally, and this track's a more vicious one than the usual calendar would provide. Fantastic racing up and down the field here. I'm curious to know why so many of those drivers, though, in the front on fresh tires, smacking the wall out of turn 2. It sure sneaks up on you, but I'm wondering if the track temps have something to do with that. Getting so used to the worn tires, the cool Goodyear Eagles not faring quite as well in the opening stanza, and everybody from the just pit coming back in. I wonder if they'll take tires or only fuel here, Kevin.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to know here. Obviously, a pit stop still looms in the second stage, and you got to make sure you're wary of the sets you have. You don't want to use extra sets if you don't need it. Some drivers electing to stay out. Zier, Pendel, Clavitt, Carter, and Constantinu all staying out, so they feel confident either a caution will happen or it will be green flag and they can make this work. But the question is, you can see already our answer. Jeremy Braille rolling the dice there, only going to take fuel only. Henderson with 2 tires, Mongold with fuel only, but most of the rest of the field here taking 4.
Yeah, that Sunoco Racing fuel is at a premium right now, but I don't disagree with those cars staying out, Kevin, because keep in mind, most of them just made that pit stop under caution and got that free stop. The track position is going to be so valuable, and with how wide the window was open, we had people pitting at the halfway point of the stage and making it to the end. I don't think that's going to be a huge concern because everybody's guaranteed a pit stop at least once before the halfway break anyhow. No harm in staying out at the moment.
Yeah, no harm, no foul, staying out indeed to make something happen. So right now, though, Zier, though, obviously we know she tried this at Indianapolis. It worked out for her. We've seen it tried in other series. It's worked out for her, so I don't hate this call. And if you, especially knowing that as long as you kind of keep with the draft and you got a fast car, there's no real penalty to do this. So overall, definitely a smart choice indeed. A few other cars going to come in and top off. Obviously, with this stage being slightly shorter than stage 1 just because of the extra laps we get, it's still not going to be enough to make it to the end if we have a green flag stage. But if we see a couple cautions, it could play in someone's factor here. So right now, though, Zier, Pendel, Clavitt, Carter, Constant to your top 5. And now the question is for those drivers that were strong in stage 1s, like the Wanzings, the Reynolds, the Boones, the Heights, currently still buried in traffic, what can they do to get to the front here?
Yeah, that's a really good point about the extra laps here, potentially a couple cautions, opening the window for maybe somebody who's being a bit sneaky. We know some contrarians in the field that are always thinking about the numbers, such as Zier, for example, but don't count on William Britton either if it comes down to a fuel mileage event here for the second stage. So we see the race summary. We've had 9 lead changes and only 2 cautions, and one of them being for the stage break to kick things off in the first quarter of what is one of the biggest races of the year for HTL, the Blankenship Freight Lines 300. I'm thrilled. This has been a great start. Hopefully we continue to see this racing. We have a whole new host of players at the very front of the field. We have drivers at the very back now. Everybody should be on similar ground. We have a whole lot of strategies popping off. Some drivers taking 2, 4, none. Some stay out. This is what you love about motor racing, and this is what you love about the Coke 600, which this race is the de facto Coke 600 of this series. So Martin Roberg officially out of the race as well. I think you mentioned that, but is not planning, or it does seem to come back actually, as does Dustin Hall. So a connection issue was confirmed for Roberg as well. So that's what happened to both of those drivers, but I think they're still in the race. So with that being said, a handful of cars still, only a handful of cars rather, out of this event. And it looks as if it could just be Dotson actually out of the race.
You are correct. Dotson is the only confirmed retirement. Roberg, obviously, is now 12 laps down, but has officially come back in. Still trying to contend laps, even though his day of trying to win this is pretty much shot. Dustin Hall is 4 down. Byron Jones is 2 down. So those are the only cars lapped down. But other than that, 32 cars still on the lead lap and counting, trying to make things work.
Yeah, absolutely. And going to be restarting this stage, which will run to lap 100. It looks like we'll have the restart with 45 to go. So it'll be 5 extra laps in this stage, removed rather, from this stage versus stage 1, which could be a big factor if we get a handful of cautions. You see that's William Britton, I believe, getting the car topped off. I told you, keep an eye on him if it goes to fuel mileage. And there he is. So it'll be Zier, Pendel, Clavitt, Carter, Constantinu and Breo, the first 3 rows to get us started for stage number 2, Kevin.
Yeah, that is going to be interesting. And again, some of these drivers we don't usually see up front here, but they're going to take advantage of the opportunity and really run with it and try to make something happen. Pace car about ready to take the lonesome trip down pit lane, and it's going to be on Zier's control here. As they enter the restart zone here. Actually going to enter it now, right now. Green flag is out, and away we go for the start of the second stage.
it's Zier for Stepping Stone Motorsports going to hang on to the lead, but Pendel all over the back. Was that Clavette down in the turf? All 4 tires trying to do a pass in the grass on the 71 of Carter, who is running probably the best that they have ran in their entire career in HTL as they bounce off the wall. Quite a few cars, in fact, bouncing off the wall on fresh tires, keeping that trend going. It's 3 wide for P4 as Constantinu now rockets ahead, but it's all behind Lilac Zier in the 50.
Ever since you tear up the grass and replaced it with turf, it becomes quite easy to get through that grass, or I guess turf, to make moves happen here. You don't want to do it too often, as it can slow down your run just a tiny bit. There's Constantinu in the middle here, trying to go forwards here side by side with Bobby Flowers on the high side. Constantinu will get clear, but Flowers will kiss the wall just a tiny bit there as Henderson is following in tow. They're trying to maybe make that outside line work. And that's kind of worth noting as well. Early on in the first stage, we saw cars gravitate low, and then by the end of the stage, kind of start going higher and higher. And right now, we're kind of seeing the same thing again here, as most of these cars are going low, and now working their way back high here. Zier going low, Pendello getting good charge in that cherry Pepsi machine, almost called it Crystal, but I have to get in the time machine to bring it back to the 80s if I want to say that.
Yeah, and it's definitely nothing like it was here in the 1980s, Kevin. This is a new era of stock car racing, and it is fantastic to watch in front. You can see that huge gaggle of cars behind the top 10. Pendel all over the back of Lilac Zier, the front row sitter at the Daytona 500, now going to challenge, get on that outside lane, and try and get a little bit of side draft off into turn 1, over the hill and into the bumps. It looks like Pendel's got clear.
And a very hungry driver to try to find his way into victory lane. He did win last year in the Truck Series. Right now in his series here, he does have 1 win, but that was all the way back in Season 2, and he's got a long winless drought to add to his name.
How about Caleb Carter on the outside lane, jumping up into P2 as well after an absence from the HTL Cup Series? Ends up in Charlotte in real life, comes into the sim, and has immediately put that 71 on the podium and fighting with our pole sitter, Henderson. But at the moment, it is all behind Chris Pendel, who takes the lead for the first time tonight.
Yeah, Pendel leading laps, taking advantage of this opportunity, but another driver with a strong winless drought. You can see Henderson in second and Caleb Carter in third, filling in the 71, and if they keep this performance going, they could maybe find themselves a full-time ride. They're usually also on the sub list, ready to call at moment's notice, and they'll be side by side with Constantinu, who's the driver that was in the Final Four last year after winning a crucial race in the playoffs. So a lot of drivers here with no wins so far this season. Even in this top 10, only driver with a win this year is Sosi, who's currently in 10th. So if any of these drivers can find their way to victory lane, it could easily be a monkey wrench into the playoffs. But obviously, again, many laps to go before we get there, so no count chicks before they hatch. But this is a career high for some of these drivers as Henderson's getting a good run here.
I'm loving that line. Did you see that, Kevin? He took a late apex, took it as late as he could, gets right up behind that 94 car, trying to find a little bit of a gap to work with. He is all over the back bumper of that Ford Mustang, and he's found an opening here. I wouldn't be surprised if he sends it deep in 3 and 4. We've seen him do that earlier tonight. Watch that 25 send it off here. There he goes.
Henderson obviously using the momentum from being the pole sitter. He will get clear, jump up to the front. Pendel, time for the lead is falling for a second here, but nothing, not going to be going away quiet here, trying to maybe find a way under, now over, just trying to get around here. Will stay on the high side here. Henderson now going to pitch low that he has the clean air. He will put the car where he wants to go, and now he'll hold the lead quite comfortably. But you can see Constantinu and Mongold slowly reeling in, but Pendel not going away. He wants to take that high side again.
Yeah, but Henderson's going to send it in deep as he has before. He's going to continue to do that, I think, and try and frustrate Pendel and keeping the bottom critically so that Pendel can't get that crossover that he wants. That's why we saw them shuffling around down the front stretch. Pendel's so strong on that top lane, though. Watch this run he's going to get through 1 and 2. We saw this in qualifying with a couple cars. I talked about how it's good in a race scenario. Watch this momentum that is going to come out of the 94. Gaining.
He is gaining indeed. Should be worth noting, kind of a fun fact as well, seeing all these drink sponsors here. Even though this is supposed to be the parody of the Coke 600, not one driver has elected to go with a Coca-Cola sponsor here, but every other soft drink and drink included. Pendel trying to win the Cola Wars for Pepsi here, still hugging around in second here, and you can see Matt Line is working a treat for him right now, but he's got to be careful not to overheat his tires here, or else he could fall back into the clutches of Constantinu. Another driver driver to keep an eye as well is Blowers, who's currently in 5th, but Seth Wanzing making a move on Caleb Carter for 8th. They're side by side at the moment.
And hey, how about that Romanian hot shoe? Bianca Constantinou running in 3rd place. We've seen a lot of great performances out of that camp. Not always on the ovals, though. The program getting better and better every week, it seems. That 57 up at the front, it's not a mystery to see that happen, but it's great to see that momentum continuing on the oval side.
Yeah, indeed is working a treat there. There's another car making a move. Clavitt trying to stay in the top 5 here with Blowers on the high side. And I think my hypothesis may be a bit correct here. As this run goes on, cars are drifting higher and higher and higher. And the high side is where the kind of line becomes. But remember, as we look at the weather right now, 72 degrees Fahrenheit, north wind 13 miles an hour to the north wind. It's windier than it was during qualifying, but also the sun is setting, albeit slowly. So we should see the track go from day to night as the car goes very low there.
Yeah, that was Caleb Carter bouncing off the wall, giving a little bit of a exit stage left to Jeremy Braille, who does a fantastic job to hang on to it. This opens the door, though, for Caitlin Height to say thank you very much as you see her slice her way through both of them now and to the bottom through the dog leg and into turn number 1. The deficit for both of them is going to be a delight for Katie Height as she slides herself now a bit deeper into the top 10 and a bit further towards the front. Good save, though, by Braille.
Yeah, beautiful save. Braille can do that in his sleep, and he's still going to be, at least in the moment, still trying to claw his way back inside the top 10. Side by side with his friend and teammate, another series, Austin Mongols. They'll fire off in the corner. A little bit further up, though, Clavitt is still not going away here. Side by side with, actually, that's Mongold, so it looks like the 44 is battling someone else. But Mongold, another driver, taking advantage of this strategy to work, but looking right now at the moment, these cars that stayed out at lap 40, we're coming close to hitting their window here. We're at lap 70, and knowing a stage is about 30, 33, 36 laps on a tank of green, we assume that the drivers like Pendel, Constantinou, Dean Clavitt, Caleb Carter, they're going to have to come in here probably the next 5 laps.
Yeah, that is a good point. Great job keeping out on that because I've been too absorbed in this racing to pay attention to any of the strategies. It's been fantastic watching as Susie now makes a move to the inside to get himself his ticket punched to the top 5. But yes, we will be seeing some cars coming down pit road soon, which means more green flag pit stops. And those were already hairy enough as it was. How about Constantinou scooting up in a second? And where did Bobby Blowers come from? Of course, he won stage 1, but he wasn't in the top 5 until a few moments ago. And now he finds himself up in 3rd, and Blake Henderson back to the front in the 25 machine. He's proven that that pole sitter was not a fluke.
No, not indeed. Someone kind of arguing whether or not the track conditions helped them, but even if they did, you still got to be fast enough to put down a good time. Even if the conditions favor you perfectly, it's still going to favor a couple of your compadres around you on the track. So you got to make sure you put down a time. But Constantinou as well, 25 spots gained from where they qualify. But obviously with Constantinou and Pendel, they'll have to pit here. But look at that high side Blowers. He wants to lead. And his 4th different number he's ran this season, he will lead in that as well. I could probably argue that's an unofficial HTL record for most laps led in different numbers.
Power move as Pendel tags the wall out of turn 2, but we got to make something light here. That 94 car is driving one of the toughest and longest races of the season with one arm after having a rotator cuff surgery, driving on the sim rig with one arm and putting it in the top 5 and competing for the lead. The Iron Man of the day going to Pendel without a doubt is that 94 car. May have just smacked the wall, but he is keeping it in there and has not lost any ground to the 3 up front.
Gotta respect that. Honestly, I don't know about you, but I know for a fact if I had rotator cuff surgery, you would not be seeing me in the wheel.
No, I'd be in bed.
At heels. Yeah, it'd be bad. Even in the commentary booth, you have to drag me out here like, the arm feels a little bit off, but you gotta give that to him. He's driving that thing a treat here. Side by side for second, though. Constantinou going to try to take second away from Henderson. Henderson, though, not going to give away without a fight here. And again, I don't even want to say it, but stage 2 is going as well as stage 1 did.
Yeah, I mean, get your candles out, pray to whoever you believe in, or whoever will listen.
Hold on, Sosi making it 3 wide here.
Oh my
trying
goodness.
To thread the needle.
And it's going to work out. He's going to get a position for his troubles. Henderson hangs on to P2, but it's all behind Bobby Blowers. Bianca says, I've had enough. I'm coming into the pits now, and the Romanian will bring it down into pit lane and go from almost 190 down to 45. It's so pedestrian, Kevin. It's the most painful feeling in the world, but it's something you have to do multiple times tonight.
And also beginning to get past a little bit. I think his window is coming soon as well. Only 3 letters Constantino threw up. P-I-T. That signifies you are pitting at the very least.
This gaggle here is DJ Trout going to have a big swing to the bottom. Caleb Carter, Austin Mongold, Tommy Reynolds, all kinds of cars in this group as they come out of turn 4. They're all under a blanket ship perhaps, as they come across start-finish line. It's 10 cars under a blanket.
I need my little mini drum set here with those puns at the very least. Soon enough, at the very least, you'll get one of those little pipes as well when you can make those ad jokes on screen. But anyway, though, you can see 4 wide.
Unbelievable. If they make it work, and Hunter Pete's going to thread the middle there between Mongold and Carter. Boone not giving it up either, and DJ Trout staying feisty. Into the pit lanes comes Mongold and Henderson.
This is not even for the top 10. This is for like just outside the top 10. This is actually now Carter's now in the top 10 with a few drivers pitting. Someone going for the heavy undercut though. Blake Henderson came in at right around the same time Mongold did, and they could have went a little bit longer. So again, they are going to try the undercut strategy that seemed to work for some of the other cars here. So if this stays green, it could play a treat for Henderson.
Yeah, and they will make it to the end of the stage regardless now. Even if the caution does come out, it just might not be able to contend for that stage. But if it does stay green, like you said, Kevin, that undercut's going to work a treat for them.
But at the same point, we saw the undercut didn't work last time with a caution, with Reynolds kind of looping it on pit lane entry. Plus, we saw the tire differentials play out, and we saw cars just spinning and making moves, making it 4 wide of throw lines. Back up to the front, though. Good eye there by Kristina. You can see Joshua Sosi trying to run towards the front here. Another few cars in. Hunter Peach, Seth Wanzing both had the hands out the window here as Sosi is looking to try to take the lead.
Yeah, he is looking to deliver the mail. That car is not gold for no reason. Reigning champion, well, at least until the start of this year. Last year's Daytona 500 winner. He knows how to get it done at the Crown Jewels as a technical rookie last year. Yeah, that's a bit of a lie. As we see a bit of a blink from Bobby Blowers, but that's not going to put any hindrance on his speed as he continues to lead and is honestly one of the surprises of the night so far, running out front. He's a great driver, has found success many times before, but after winning that stage has held on up until now, as he's now going to have to fight it out with Josh Susie for the lead.
Yeah, it can be side by side, and Flowers is no pushover. You can't count him out in these situations. He will keep that car clean, but he'll make sure he'll give you a fair fight indeed. Riding on board here with Bobby
he's
Flowers.
found the wall there.
Hits the wall. That's going to give Sosi the spot. So put Sosi, a driver he can never count out to the lead, and he's going to charge towards the front here. Another car coming in. Lilac Sear has admitted it's her time to pit, but she's part of the crew that stayed out at the end of stage 1.
And while that was going on in the background, we saw Height fighting with Wansing. She's found her way back onto the podium, or actually onto the podium for the first time tonight. Wansing still doing a great job playing defense, though, trying to hold off Shad Swatsworth and Yahir Rodriguez, who we have seen some incredible moves out of tonight, and he's going to continue to charge forward as well. Remember, him and Height are on the same strategy, and they're continuing to move together.
Yeah, making it work as well and charging forward. There's Yahir Rodriguez, a star of stage 1, and that's not a battle they are willing to take here. This is very close. Someone's going to have to concede. It's going to be Yahir. Just going to stay behind Wanzing, push Wanzing clear, then make it a fight between both of them right now. And looking at the chat, you can see right now Josh Gaiman, who wasn't able to be here tonight, enjoying the show from inside the chat here. Right there, Yahir hits the wall just a bit. Wanzing survives it. And I'm keeping an eye on pit lane entry. A few drivers almost looped it again on the bumps, but everyone's got it pointed straight in the right direction.
This can only be described as delicious. This racing is a 4-course meal of absolute beauty, and they are continuing to race as they were 3 wide. You can't do that at Charlotte, and somehow they managed to make it work, and Yahir's going to be the biggest beneficiary. He's going to be rewarded for his aggression. He moves up 2 spots in 2 laps.
Yeah, sometimes the bold and aggression favors the bold, if you will, and that will gain 2 spots here. Wanzing going to push him a little bit farther up the road here. They're about 2 and some change back from position 3, and Kalen Height. Wanzing just gets the wall, just a tiny bit. Going to allow Swatsworth and them to be side by side, though. Swatsworth, another driver that's been sneaky fast here as he's slowly charging up as well. Up 28 spots from where he qualified, as he was one of those drivers that got hindered by qualifying with the track conditions with the temperatures.
Yeah, fantastic effort from him to get that Arrowhead machine back up to the front. Going to get a nice shot here from Seth Wanzing. Thank you for making our cameras look better than they are as we send off into turn number 3 and 4. Wanzing all the way up on the safer barrier. He is running about as close as one could get to hitting the wall, using everything about that iRacing aero model to use the aero to guide that car. Let's ride on board here, Kevin. This is fantastic stuff.
Yeah, we'll ride on board here with the 5, who's making that middle high line work here and work towards a treat. Right now, getting to fall back just a bit, but we'll ride on board here, and you can see getting a good draft, getting the toe, and they're going to set up for corner 3 and 4 here. That is usually how it's done here. You can see losing time, then going to try to gain off exit, and that's the benefits of the high side. You may have to let off just a little bit more, but you can get in the throttle a tad earlier to make something happen here. So again, you'll see getting good run, going to go high. You see the 18 is going to gain a little bit more time on entry, but the benefits of that middle high groove, you're going to gain a lot on that high line.
I think he's got him this time too. He just squeezes that Toyota bumper to the outside. Sayonara, sucker. Off into turn number 3 goes Seth Wanzing, but here comes the 18 of Swatsworth, not giving it up. He's going to try and send a slide job down in there. Going to mind his manners and leave just enough room for the number 5 of Seth Wanzing to try and challenge back on the outside. The battle for the 5th place is continuing to be a crowd pleaser, as now look who's entering the frame again here is the man who brought out the only caution tonight that wasn't for a stage break of Tommy Reynolds. He's found himself back into contention. He's not letting that mistake spoil his night, and they're continuing to get feisty there, but it looks like Seth Wanzing's gonna win out on this battle finally.
Well, they're going to have to keep an eye on here. The 95 is coming in right now, and they're going to be 3 wide. This usually doesn't work out nicely, but luckily the 95 going to go low here. Everyone going to leave space for the entry. Now Tommy Reynolds, like you said, is crashing the party here and putting Seth Wanzing in an arrowhead racing sandwich, which is not a nice place to be when you know you got no assistance on the high or low side.
Yeah, this is rather, real quick, this is rather incredible. I thought for sure Wanzing had enough of a gap to clear Swatsworth, but he's not giving it up in that 18 car, Kevin.
And that's the thing, they're both burning their stuff. At the same point, they're losing time hand over fist to 3rd place Caitlin Height here, who's about half a second up the road here, now about 2 seconds up the road here, and some change. So they are beginning to lose time here. I think they have to kind of settle this out here between themselves if they do not want to make this a battle for 4th at the end of the stage. But now Tommy Reynolds on the low side trying to make a move here, and that's another thing you got to worry about. That high side, while maybe a bit more aggressive for passing, you can also burn up your stuff more aggressively on that high side as you get in the throttle a bit earlier and more full throttle around, thus mean more stuff you're going to burn.
Yeah, what was that point you were going to say, Kevin, earlier? I didn't mean to cut you off, but I wondered if it was pertinent to, if it was just about the pit stops or whatnot. But
yeah, it was probably just about the pit stops with the guy here coming in and them all having to go around him coming in. That was
my goodness!
57 air jumps you right there. That was one of those horror games where you see just flash in at the last second here.
Now remember,
Monster
she's
energy.
made her pit stop, so this is to unlap themselves for the 57 machine. So this is not for position, but that's the difference the fresh tires will get you. That's what a set of boots will get you with now 9 to go in stage number 2.
Still a little bit of ways away from unlapping, though, as it is still about 3 and some change. More cars coming in as we seek. Matthew Boone, Zachary Meredith, DJ Trout all in. Some of these cars on the outside of the top 10. But the question now remains as we ride on board here with Joshua Sosi, you can't make it on a tank of fuel. So at what point does he come in here? Dean Clevitt, he's coming in this time by. And as more cars come in, I wonder as Constantinu is going to be the first car a lap down. Presumably, as they all pit, they will cycle to the lead, but at least the positive is for these cars coming in now, though, they could maybe fuel only it, then come in for 4 tires at the end of the stage. So we'll have to see how it all cycles.
No, you're absolutely right, and it didn't seem like there was any evidence of Susie trying to save fuel either here, so I think they're all definitely committed to having to pit, and they will lose that time. Constantinu is basically the stage winner elect after everybody comes into the pit lane, and here comes Susie now down pit road. He is not going to make it on fuel, and it does not look like Blowers were either. They're both in and will hand the lead off, presumably here, to Constantinu once they make their next cycle around the track. They're back on the lead lap now.
I would hold that thought for a second here. The 3's on the low side right now coming on the track on a fuel only stop, but Constantinu is going to come out side by side with the 3, and the 3 was about a second and some change away from the top 2 in battle. So at the moment, there's still a chance Sosi could come out if he took fuel only. Looking at his times, though, he did take it along with Blowers, so we'll have to keep an eye on this, but the fresh tires are definitely going to win out even if Constantinu doesn't get it on cycle here. So keep an eye. We're riding aboard here with the 81. You're going to see a pink and blue Monster Energy car coming around the low side here. and it's going to be easy as you would like. Constantinu to the lead and is looking poised to take the stage when all the cars eventually pit ahead.
Oh, and here critically, Height's going to clear the 81 on that fuel-only stop. Wonder if there's going to be enough in the tank there for her to continue to hold on. I don't think so, but we'll see what happens there. But at the moment, it is Seth Wansing coming in the pit lane with Shad Swatsworth. I was going to say they still have stayed out, but now they can't go on any longer either, and they're ticking away. But keep an eye on the 64 of William Britton, who made a pit stop at the very, very end of that caution period, about to inherit P2 with Gary Donaldson currently in the lead. And you can hear as that car goes by, the engine is off. He has been saving and saving. I wonder, we talked about it, the contrarian may just have enough. This is going to be the extra thing to keep an eye on here in the closing stages of stage 2.
I don't know if I like the odds. Donaldson, who's also on the same strategy, you'll see on the apron right now.
Fuel.
He is ran out. His number is officially out here. He is coming in. He was in the pack. Don't know if he was saving at the same extremes Britton was, but now the question is, but Britton running pretty hard here. You can see right there, though, cutting the engine completely down 1 and 2 here, and now getting back on. Gap right now is 15 seconds, so as long as that number can save, he is not going to lose enough time to be in a spot, but the risk is if he runs out, he's going to go at least a lap down.
This is a man who is very calculated and has always been the one to pull off strategies like this. The only other one in the conversation when it comes to these fuel mileage games is Lilac Zier, who is not on the similar strategy. She was opting for speed because she was at the front of the field. Britton was at the back, made several pit stops to top that 64 off. If anyone's going to make it on fuel, it's William Britton. And with the pit lane closing this time by Kevin, I think he's either going to have to come in or commit here to trying to stay it. He is the man to get this done with 2 to go in the stage, and like you said, over 15 seconds in the bank. It looks like he's staying out. William Britton is going to try to win stage 2.
There's a risk here as well because if he wins stage but has to come in for emergency service, he's going to lose all the time this strategy gained.
Doesn't matter.
Stage, but tail end of that pack. But if he can hang on for 1 extra lap after that, he pits with the leaders, and net going to probably gain at least some nice track position from where he started. Right now, though, still looking good on the economy right now. Peach has inherited second, by the way, as well from Bianca Constantinu. So Peach taking it away from Constantinu, but they all could be under Sprett here as William Britton is going to come across the line here to start the final lap as they are very racy for second, though.
Yeah, Britton doesn't care if they all wreck because then he has to coast even more, so it's all good for him. It looks like Britton's going to pull this one off out of nowhere. Well, I would say out of nowhere, but we called it, and he's done similar in the past, and in a race like this is the TV time he deserves, and this is a fantastic move. Look, he's letting everybody go. He's got 12 seconds in the back pocket, plenty of time, and this 64 car is going to come around to take the stage win.
You can say at the very least with the overlap numbers, it isn't the prettiest thing in the world, but it doesn't matter. William Britton wins your second stage on an economy run. Hand out the window, but he is now out of fuel here. So he did it, but he's got nothing left. So he is going to have to take emergency service, but he will get those 10 juicy bonus points for the stage. Peach will get second, Zier third, and we'll get a run down the rest of the second. But hat off to William Britton. He won't be able to pit with the rest of the leaders, but at the very least, though, he'll get a stage win in the crown jewel of this season.
Yeah, you think it was cutting it close? Absolutely nothing in the tank. But here's why I said it didn't matter. Already it was at the tail end of the field. All it is an EOL for emergency service. This is a net gain because he starts right where he was anyway, and he gets those 10 juicy stage points, which may be a bit messed up here. No, they actually will be correct. Britton, Peach, Zier, Pendel, Constantinu, Height, Clavette, Susie, Breo, and Blowers, the top 10 for stage number 2. And with that, this half of racing is over. They will catch the pace car, and we will have our halftime break here in just a moment, Kevin. But what a fantastic race it's been so far.
Yeah, I was just about to remind the viewers about the halftime break. We'll go over that in just a second here. But that was a great stage. They kept it clean through stage 2. And if 1 and 2 is indicative of what this final stage is going to be, I am on the edge of my seat. This is going to be fun to watch. And we may see, like I was saying in the pre-race, It's a track that provides miracle strategies, underdogs pulling out, Casey Mears, Jamie McMurray, Austin Dillon, tons of others that have found glory. David Rudiman at this track with differing strategies, it could play in factor. But now the cars are going to come down pit lane here. They're going to be double file as they come down the pit lane. They're all going to stop. They're going to turn off their engines. We're going to have a 60-second moment of silence here on this point. But first, we are going to get pit stops here, I believe, first before we get to that stop, I believe.
Yeah, we'll keep our eye out here just to make sure of the order of events. Regular pit stops this go around is the confirmation, so we will get through that little bit first, and then we'll cycle everything out right before we go back to green flag racing is when we will have that. So a unique thing that HTL does to mirror what happens in real life, but we'll get to that in just a moment as pit stops are underway after a thrilling first start to this event. See Henderson with that first pit box, going to go for tires. I think everybody's probably going to take tires here. I'd be surprised to see a lot of fuel onlys, especially with how long that stint went. It was a full green flag run. Everybody had enough laps on their tires, with the exception of William Britton, who is coming in for a fresh set now. But yeah, everybody in and out.
Just running some numbers in my head right now to get an exact total here. William Britton ran 46 laps on one tank of gas there, coming in at lap 54. 46 laps with aggressive saving. Rest of the field coming in. Should be 2 pit stops in the final stage here, how it shakes up. But if you can make it, obviously the time lost wouldn't be beneficial, but you could, in theory, if you can pin it right, go about a little bit over that 36 window, maybe make it over to 40. So we'll have to keep eyes on that in our strategy when we get to the final stage here, depending how the cookie crumbles. But right now, though, we are going to get into the moment of silence here. Again, cars will all take a trip down pit lane here, as actually I think we'll see a few extra come in, cycle in, and now, yep, now we'll go one more round. A few other cars will now take their service a second time around. But when the field all gets caught up here, we're going to have our little moment of silence here.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that coming up here, we want to do a quick recap of the race summary. We have had one crash for incidents tonight, which was a spin on pit road that triggered the iRacing caution, the other 2 being for stage breaks, which means we have had over 100 laps, or close to 100 laps of green flag racing already, only 10 of those under caution and some of those for the stages. So it's been a fantastic start to the night with 17 lead changes as well. It has been one of those races that just comes along once in a while and makes you fall in love with motorsports all over again. And as it currently stands, it is Hunter Peach, Lilac Ziri, Yahir Rodriguez, Caitlin Height, Chris Pendell, Dean Clavette, Joshua Susi, Blake Henderson, your pole sitter, Jeremy Braille, and Bobby Blowers, the super sub and stage 1 winner, the top 10. And I believe now is when we see the field come down the pit lane for that moment of silence. But as this happens, we have been treated to some fantastic racing in the first stanza of tonight's event.
Indeed, it's been a very fun show. Obviously, thinking the pre-race, we were a little bit worried that this could be maybe a bit of a wreck fest, possibly just because of a lot of field. But we have all been pleasant surprised. That's why I always say, keep the optimism until we see the action on track, because you never know when you see a good race. So they'll stay single file here and get doubled up, this time by Dustin Hall, obviously going to take the wave around here, because he's multiple down here, just going to try to get one of his laps back and hope multiple chaoses happen to try to get back in contention here.
Yeah, and I think we're having an extra lap here to just let the full caution cycle through to allow things to get the lap cars back where they need to be, so none of that has to happen after the fact. So I think we should be seeing the caution extend here shortly, unless they're going to go ahead and do it here where they'll leave it technically under the green flag and have everybody come down. I'm not really sure how they're going to do it with the way that iRacing works, of course, but we are expecting a moment's pause in a lap or 2, at least from what we were given for our pre-race notes. So it's just a matter of how they want to do this with the iRacing way. They don't want to affect the scoring if they can help it. So they let the lap cars go to get their wave around, which means all the cars you see are as they stand in position. And theoretically, they should follow the pace car down pit lane here.
I'd assume that's the case as well, but we'll be proven in just a
Just got confirmation that they will follow the pace car down pit lane.
All right, thank you for the race control there, letting us know. It's going to be Hunter Peach, Lilac Zier, Yahir Rodriguez, Caitlin Height, and Christopher Pendell, our top 5 when we do eventually go back to green. But right now, though, again, for a moment of silence for those that have serve the country and all that, we are going to have this moment of silence here as they come on down here. And it's a tradition that has been very fun in HTL to honor everyone, and obviously they do it in real life as well. And it's definitely a great part. It's great to be a part of this year round, as I know Kristina's been in years past.
Hang on, we're not going green, not going green.
So as that concludes our moment of silence here, all cars are now going to leave pit lane right now. We will have 2 more laps of warm-up here before we go and green flag here. Obviously, no one can come in and top off here, as obviously this is a more of just an odd, not an odd sequence, but a moment of silence, and obviously not in a sporting sense of competition. So all cars will file off here in the positions they came down pit lane. They will get bunched up next time by, and we'll go back to green. And when we do, we'll have officially 101 laps to go before we get the green flag here. But this is going to be a fun show, and this final stage, if anything from the first 2 stages, should pay dividends to what we'll see in the final stage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a fantastic start. One of those races that we're going to be talking about for a very, very long time in the HTL community and the ABN community. Great turnout for the virtual crowd. Great turnout for the viewers tonight as well. And whether you're watching live on Twitch tonight or you're watching on YouTube in the recap, we are so glad to have you here. Kevin Young being our lead commentator tonight. Usually I'm the one behind the desk, but Kristina Ryan here bringing you action as well as we get ready to conclude the first half and kick off the second half of what has been probably the race of the year so far. Not to get too ahead of myself, but it's looking that way, at least in the first half. Fantastic stuff. We've had our 2-stage winners so far of Bobby Blowers and William Britton with that incredible strategy to save enough fuel to put himself in position to win the stage. Will we see more of that fuel mileage? Probably. It's always something we tend to see here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And this is a backyard track for a lot of drivers, but it's one of the crown jewels and everybody wants to win it regardless of where they're from.
Yeah, a lot of drivers want to find that victory lane. They want to top this off. They want to be the race where they can say, yeah, I won this. I won a crown jewel. It brings that extra swagger, brings that extra pride. You want to be one of those drivers that can do that. But obviously, now the final stage, we're in the money stage section right now. 2 pit stops still loom for most of this field here. And you don't want to make a mistake now after the first 2 have been so clean. If you speed on pit lane, it's going to be very hard to recover. It's going to be on Hunter Peach's control, driver that was in second in stage number 2 here, as he is going to come off here out of 4. Pace car going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane, as it's going to be on Peach's control. Green flag is out, and away we go for the final stage in the BFL 500.
Exactly 101 laps remaining here as we head off into turn number 1. It was a great start from Peach. Not the best start from Zier, but she's going to hang on and slot into 3rd. It's going to be Peach, Rodriguez, Zier, Height, and I think Pendel will hold on to 5th. He will, but here comes Rodriguez. Shot out of a cannon down to the inside.
Yeah, making a move here, does not want to get caught napping, use the fresh tires while they're hot, and wants to take back the lead they had at the middle of stage number 1. Side by side, it's going to be Rodriguez leading the lap, but Peach going to hang it around the high side, looking to try to do what not a lot of drivers have done this year, and win 2 races in a season. Obviously, you can see the lap difference led. 113 laps for Rodriguez, now 7 for Peach. They are 4 wide on the backstretch right now, right around Caleb Carter. Big indeed. They all get through relatively okay there. Just saw pure chaos back there as cars were fanning out, getting loose. And they now know it is go time. And look at this little car park we got here as drivers just trying to get through the field quickly.
Yeah, this is that part of the race where people start giving a little more than they're taking. They get a little more impatient. Caleb Carter there starting to slide up. And you can see immediately as I say that, could be another situation similar to what we just saw. Now they're 3 wide down the back straightaway. Tommy Reynolds and Seth Wanzing either side of Caleb Carter, who was so strong in the start of stage 2, trying to hang on, doing a great job hanging in the middle. You'd be surprised what a track walk around here would do for you in the sim.
Yeah, it will definitely help you know where the bumps are. Obviously, this is the 2018 version of this track. Obviously, not much has changed too much from then and now, but there's still those little extra abrasions and grooves that real life drivers have to deal differently here. Riding on board here with the driver that took that track walk, 71 of Caleb Carter, right now outside the top 10, but trending in the right direction. Gonna go low here. Checked up.
Oh, gets into the back of
Wanzing. Luckily leaves space. They all saved it though.
My God.
But Wanzing not gonna be too
Oh
thrilled.
no, he's not. Now there you go. Oh, huge crash. Up
Big
and over.
flip.
Apperson takes a huge shot down the stretch, and now that is going to end what has been an otherwise clean race tonight. Apperson takes a hellacious slam. Swatsworth's destroyed. The 2 is totaled. Wanting, one of the dominant cars of the night, junkyard in the dogleg.
Same thing with Zachary Apperson. I just had the radio on, and Wanzing not happy with that 71. You can probably see why. Riding on board here again, obviously, Char's checking up, running, trying to run for position here. You can see getting a little bit closer. You're already there as Carter is getting a little bit pokey, getting a little bit movie here. And then you can see coming off into the corner here, a little puff of smoke.
Yeah.
Wanzing and then Carter right in the corner panel. They have it saved. Wanzing almost has it saved here. And then that point goes low, and there's the 71 again, and just unlucky at that point. Hard lick, though, for Apperson. Basically gets flipped, and the iRacing physics sends him over. He does a flip, a barrel roll, and then lands on his wheels. But that is going to be junkyard for the 4 at the very least. Few other cars will definitely be joining him.
Yeah, Boone, Mongold, Carter, obviously, with Apperson and Wanzing all totaled in that one. Whether or not they're out of the race, it's not looking great for any of them. Gibney had a piece of that. I believe you see there Wanzing getting another clip from the 19 and the 2. Swatsworth nowhere to go. A little bit of ARCA braking going on here. You see William Britton coming to a full stop. I want to have another look at this here. On board with the number 99 car of Elias Flores, right on board, because he's the one who ends up clipping the already airborne Apperson. And we saw Caleb Carter struggling to keep that car down in lane. We see a little bit of calamity happening in front here with Elias as well, but this is where it starts. They just about get it all gathered up, but unfortunately they ran out of luck. And this is a big one here.
Yeah, you can see right there, big lick. Good avoidance.
We lost our camera.
Yeah, our camera got hit off as like a ball on a tee, but luckily Flores keeps it going, but just enough room under, basically made it under the limbo bar with no issues here as well for them. Taking a look at the replay here.
Yeah, this is focusing on Apperson here so we could see this contact. It wasn't the initial contact that ended it, but everybody was so scattered, Kevin. There was just not enough real estate after the fact to keep it going in the right direction, and that's where we get this hellacious crash for Apperson, who had nothing to do with this whatsoever, completely a victim. As you see the 5 of Wanson come back up, this reminds me of the Todd Bodine crash a number of years ago at this very track, about 100 feet down the track. You can see the air get up underneath. Elias Flores acting as a bit of a prop to send that 4 all the way over. The roof flaps hopeless in this situation as Apperson goes for one of the wildest rides in recent memory down the front straightaway. That car is destroyed and everybody helpless to do anything but scatter as it's a junkyard just like that.
Yeah, we'll take another look here as well, again from different perspectives here, and you can see right there Apperson just minding his own business again. At that point, 2 contacts there, and that's too little too late. Just, if he had a direct wide wheel, that could have snapped easily. Don't know if he does or doesn't. Hopefully he took his hands off the wheel, though. You can see right there, another big lick there. Shad Swatzer piles in there late as well. I think we're riding up
this somewhere with Wansing.
There's the second corner panel shot at that point. It was almost saved, and they got unsaved. Mongol sharks in hard. Zier gets a good lick as well there in that pack. So a lot
and then he got hit again.
Ooh, yeah, we'll see if we can look at this here and see what he got hit.
Yeah, I think it was everybody trying to check up after this. We've seen this angle. Here's the new one. You get hit once, twice, 3 times by Caleb Carter. Caleb not trying to take him out, but unfortunately that's how it's going to be viewed. A big flip pirouette from the 4. I think it was from the 19 is the one who comes in here and clobbers the 5 with a late hit. Yeah, it was. And then it was another hit by Josh Arnold, and that's how Swatsworth got involved, who was already damaged to begin with. We'll ride on board here with William Britton. If you want, Kevin, to keep an eye here out of the booth to make sure we're not going to miss the restart. There's a lot to unpack here.
We are still good at the very least right now. We haven't got the 1 to go yet, so we'll keep looking this again because it's just a lot of good cars there in that finished top 5, top 10 in stage 1, stage 2. Now out of this race with Kevin. So you see again here another perspective.
Yeah, they were wrecking already before this. It seems like everybody was stacking up, and there's the flip from the 4. Swatsworth locks up and smacks the wall, so he took himself out before it was even over. Britton doesn't know where to go, so he simply just stops, and you can see them continue to crash in front of him. He may be the smartest man in this group. He may be one of the few that didn't get damaged here. We'll ride on board with the 4 machine. We see a little late here. We'll ride on board with the 4 of Apperson. Hang on tight, ladies and gentlemen, because this is going to be a big hit. Let's just listen to it. Just listen. A thundering blow. You can see, obviously, the seats keep these drivers very highly cocooned, and the helmets, obviously, everything coming in. Obviously, it doesn't matter too much in the virtual world, but as you mentioned, direct drives, not too easy, not too hard, rather, to get an injury on one of those. Hopefully, all is well in the 4 camp, but yeah, just it's so many great laps of racing, and it just goes so bad so quick.
I can say we do have the 1 to go here. They are on the backstretch, so we do want to wrap this up just a little quick here. One more look here again. The 4, yeah, just it hurts to watch the 4 because he was just an innocent bystander in that, and he got the worst lick out of all the cars on that track, and he was just trying to mind his own business. So back to live action, riding aboard there with our current race leader, Hunter Peach. So it's going to be Peach and Clavitt row 1, Rodriguez Height row 2, Zier, Pendel row 3, which Zier was in that incident. It may have been the stepping stone car. Sosi Henderson next row, and Reynolds Brout your top 10. So some Arrowhead cars, some other teams in that top 10, but the field just got a little bit smaller, but still 28 cars on the lead lap.
Yeah, that was our first real incident of the day. So besides DeMonte Donson, our first real retirements coming out of that one as we come down to get the green flag once again. And I want to note, Kevin, as we do go back to green, with these caution laps, this could open up a one-stop strategy.
You are correct right now. Looking at it, we're still a little bit a ways away, I think, for comfortably making that one-stop work. What we saw from William Britton, he tried it, and it worked 46 laps, and obviously the time he had to concede wasn't great. We're at 91 laps to go as we speak. I think you'd have to get to maybe lap 80 before we can start maybe saying, hey, at that point, if we're making it a 1, could or couldn't. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays. But right now, though, I still think we're not there yet, but that number is getting closer to fruition. Hunter Peach will lead that lap that time up.
Yeah, certainly knocking on the door. Some of those who are brave, like Britain, may be thinking about that now. As you see on the apron, Dean Clavette trying to pass Yahir Rodriguez. That's 2 fiery drivers in one spot. I don't know if I like that. It looks like it's going to be a bit of a tight fight there for P2. Hunter Peach is loving it, though, as this all goes on behind him. Katie Height and Chris Pedell in the wings as well.
Remember, Clavette and Peach maybe not having the best relationship. Remember at Atlanta a couple weeks back, if you can feast your mind to it, Peach and Clavette were fighting for the win, and Peach got into Clavette after Peach could argue Clavette came down. Clavette could say Peach ran him out of the road, but Peach won that race. Clavette finished outside the top 10. And you know it comes to pushing and shoving, not only Clavette's going to be as friendly as he would have been a couple weeks ago with Hunter Peach riding aboard here with Zier, who sits in 6.
Clavette no stranger to using the bumper if he needs to, especially when there's a history between them. I think if it come down to it, if this is the way they run going into turn 3 on the final lap, it could be a melee coming out of turn number 4. Not to say Clavette's a dirty driver, but his aggression is no mystery to the field here as he sits behind the man who moved him for the win in Atlanta. It could get spicy here. The fireworks for 4th of July in the air, but the fireworks on the track could be even bigger if these guys get too close to each other.
Yeah, indeed. That could be something that can match the stars and stripes on the scheme. The stars could be the fireworks in the night sky. Sun is really not set yet as much as I thought it was, but it's still holding out. It's now Clavette going to go on the low side. Obviously going to be respectful at least a bit, though, but not going to be willing to take a slouch. Again, he wants to make Canadian Day all about him here and spoil the 4th of July show. It's supposed to be America's celebration this week. Well, a Canadian wants to come in and spoil the fun if he can. He takes the lead. Christopher Pendell, another driver, remember, driving hurt, sitting in 3rd, trying to get Yahir here.
Yeah, the one-armed bandit sitting in P3. If he can just get another inch over Yahir Rodriguez, it looks like he might have the advantage here. But Clavette to the front on Canada Day. It'd be ironic, but he definitely wants to try and make it about him tonight. And I'm sure he would love every minute of that.
Yeah, indeed. Especially, hey, he's not won since season 2. So he definitely wants to get that win and get, again, that metaphorical monkey off the back. Pendell, though, who won a truck race last season, yet to find a victory in, actually, he has won once. You gotta remember, he did win in Rock Game in season 2 as well, but it's been a long time as well. So looking at this top 5, only driver you can really say has had a lot of wins in a lot of succession is Caitlin Height, sitting in 3rd, which you got to note as well. She was last year's BFL 500 winner. She has the 2nd most wins at intermediate tracks at 3, only 1 behind Dustin Hall. So if she could find victory here tonight, she would tie most immediate wins. We have a yellow here. It's going to be back in the back right around the 71, who is slow on the track here. Yeah, 71 on the backstretch here in the wall, and there you can see the spin. So back-to-back cautions the 71 has been involved in. Looks like the 93 also got a piece in this as well.
To finish your point about, oh yeah, big damage to DJ Trout there, but to finish your point about Caitlin Height, she is the only driver in the top 5 who's yet to lead a lap today, though, so keep that one in mind. But let's see what brings out our 3rd real caution of the night here. Trout already had that damage from earlier in the big one there, so he was just running around, and Caleb again unfortunately bounces off the wall, comes across the nose of Trout, and around goes the 71. They're going to smack the inside wall, and with the lack of front downforce, DJ Trout loses the nose and also finds the safer barrier on that inside wall. No harm, no foul to anybody else from what it appears like, but those two not getting any better days as the night goes on.
Yeah, that is officially retirement day done for DJ Trout. They will join the retirement crew along with Dotson and Eichler. Eichler was for a manual disconnection. Dotson, obviously, for the implication of earlier accident. Most of the cars now down pit lane. They will take service here on lap 124. Looking to make it on one more stop by coming in here. Probably going to see it come around maybe 160-ish range, 170, and then try to make it to there. But that's still ways away. 2 cars, though. Actually, 1 car likely to stay out. It's going to be the 9 of Eli Safik.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty big deal, Kevin, because this means now that there is no worry about someone trying to pull a long shot. Everybody's going to have to make one stop for sure from here, and there won't have to be any gamesmanship to do it, because some people were thinking about maybe 2 stops. Now it's a 1-stop race to the end if it goes green all the way. Nobody's questioning that anymore.
Yep, Zachary Apson is now officially pulled behind the wall as well. He will join the retirement crew as well, giving us another retirement, now down to 4 behind the wall. Wanzing and Roberg still in this race, even though I don't like the likelihood Wanzing will make it out on the track here as well before this race is done. But at the same point, though, if you can get back there and at least compete, and if some more damage happens, could gain a few extra spots by more cars having catastrophe. So it's worth it. The car can still run to stay out there, at least for owner's points or driver's points as well. But up front, it's going to be Sasek leading the way here. Again, last came in at the stage break. Going to have about a 20-lap difference, 22-lap difference on his tires and fuel load in comparison to the rest. Eli Flores will be second. Came in for fuel only. Then you got Hunt, Peach, Clavitt, Rodriguez all taking 4 tires. Pat Blowers elected to take 2 along with Zachary Meredith. So they're the other major roll the dice drivers there as they're going to come in and take 2. And we have 2 more drivers come in, topping off again here. Looks like Swatsworth. Actually, it's going to be Casey Ellis coming in again here to top off, maybe trying to get that little extra fuel because, hey, it worked for William Britton at the end of stage 2.
Yeah, and some things to keep an eye on here as we get ready to go back to green. We haven't really had a chance to talk about it with all the green flag racing. These are your previous winners in the BFL 500. This is Dustin Hall, Nathan Eastep, Zach Meredith, Katie Height, all sitting here as 4 winners each. And then we look at the intermediate wins. Dustin Hall and Katie Height still atop the boards there on intermediate racetracks. Tons of drivers obviously have won at least once. Proudfoot not here. Matthew Boone has won twice. Gaiman also not here. So Hall, Height, and Boone are probably the ones to keep an eye on here. But Boone hasn't been a big factor yet, but don't count him out because we've seen comers and goers all night long, Kevin. And of course, with the points as they are heading into this race, a bit of a shakeup coming, of course, with Pacey Wygent not here. Swatsworth involved in the big one. Sasek leading, and Hunter Peach right behind. Katie Height in the wings, as well as Susie. So a lot of the top contenders are there, minus Swatsworth and Wygent, who have been involved in incidents or didn't make it to tonight's event.
Yeah, indeed. And obviously, with Dustin Hall being still coupled down here, the likelihood of adding to that win total isn't high. But you never know. Weird things have happened. Stranger things have occurred, so we can't count anything out here. So anyway, though, it's going to be Sasek, Flores, Peach, Clavitt, your top 2 as we come to green. And obviously, again, a lot of these drivers in this top 10 right now. Pendel, Blowers, Rodriguez, Clavitt, Flores, Sasek, all looking for their first win this year. And at the same point, some of them looking to end long winless droughts. And we'll see if they can make it out. Cars spinning, though, on the air here, coming out of pit lane. I think it's the 18 of Swatsworth, so keep an eye on the left side of your screen here.
Yeah, it is.
18 here. Trying to maybe beat the pace car here, trying to do something.
Yeah, well, look at all that damage on that machine. Of course, we saw him smack the wall very hard in the dogleg in the big one and then got caught up in the big one. Lots of damage on that car. So I think that, as embarrassing as it looks, I think that might be related a bit more to the damage than anything else, though. Is you're right, Kevin, trying to beat the pace car in a bit of a panic. We saw the same thing happen to Tommy Reynolds. We're hitting those bumps around the car goes, so.
Yeah, indeed. They got to be careful with those bumps. We saw it happen to Reynolds, so 2 Arrowhead teammates ended up getting collected in a similar-ish incident. So right now, though, we're going to get green here, and now Sasek, the game is, he's still got to make an extra stop, and at the rate it goes, he'll have to come in about a 20-lap difference in comparison to the cars around him. And the second question is, we've seen tires not really matter as much, per se, and maybe later on the run. So we'll see if Flores, Blowers, and even Meredith can make no tires in Flores' case, and Meredith and Blowers make 2 tires work here and make it work. Because, hey, that can be some good knowledge for later on in the race. Pace car going to pull on off. It is going to be on Sasek's control. Got to be careful on the old tires not to spin them. So as they enter the restart zone, and now green flag is out, and away we go again here on lap 128. Good launch for both Ascent racing cars. They're going to try to lock out the top 2.
Yeah, no question there. That was an orchestrated restart for both those Ascent teammates, and they are going to get the benefits of that as Sasek clears, and Flores should get the momentum off of turn number 2 here. Oh, car in the wall in the back.
Car wall in the back. That is, I don't exactly know who that is. It's the 5. It's the 5 of Seth Wanzing, who has come out again here, just obviously very wounded car, back on the road. No caution will be thrown here, though, but it is day done for that Wanzi. He was just trying to complete laps here. We will stay green. Back up front, you can see right there, the battle is on. Top 2 still Ascent Racing, 1-2. Battle for third, though, Peach and Rodriguez side by side. And then you can see Clavitt there in the distance, almost kissing the wall there. I think Blowers ended up hitting it, and they're 4 wide down the backstretch.
That's about the 3rd or 4th time we've said that tonight, Kevin, and it never gets any less hairy, as Height seems to be the biggest beneficiary as the whole field decides to knock down the wall out of turn 2 again. Everybody's trying to buy that wall drinks, but it's only going to go home with the winner tonight. height cleared of that gaggle, but this is going to be great news for those leaders because Rodriguez and Peach and the Ascent boys are going to be able to get some clean real estate ahead of her.
Yeah, using that clean air to their advantage to make something happen here. Top four all at the moment holding on. A little bit further back, you can see in the wide shot, though, you can see 2 by 2 by 2. But this clean air is a good of a reprieve right now because usually when you have the lead, you're always fighting it, having to hold on the charges. But now just kind of having to hold, take the breathe, take the repriever. It's actually quite nice when you don't have to worry about someone trying to pass you. A little bit further back here, you can see Clavitt falling down the pack here a bit. Meredith making those 2 tires work up to 6th.
Yeah, it's great to see that. We have a battle for the lead now. As I was about to say, Eli Sasek doing a great job on those old tires to hang on with the clean air, but Hunter Peach says, I'm going to make Kristina look stupid. I'm going to go on the outside lane in a brilliant move, some great momentum, and put that 20 car back out front. Really becoming a contender here as the race continues on.
Yeah, Hunter Peach looking, because we saw him on that list of top 5 in the points. He's having a good mid-season charge here. He could go 2 for 3 in the past 3 weeks. He never really snout that as he had kind of a poor effort last week at Indianapolis. But right there, you can see in the wide shot, it's Peach, Sasek, Flores, your top 3. But look at Meredith go on those old tires side by side with Yacht here for 4th.
Yeah, no question why Zach Meredith is a champion in this series. We see him time in and time out play the mature game, the smooth game. He's not had a great season. His last season, his season after he won the championship was absolutely abysmal, but he seems to have gotten some of that spark back. A win here tonight would really kick things off, but they're going to go 3 wide down the back straightaway now, and he's going to go all the way down to the bottom as he's going to get around Flores and try to get Rodriguez in one go, and here comes Clavet and Pendel.
Gotta be careful on that high side. When we get later on this race, drivers gonna be less likely to leave you space. You could end up getting doored if you're not careful. Meredith's gonna take that position at the line, but you know Flores is not gonna give it up without a fight here. But I don't think they're gonna have much of a choice here, as you can see right there, still side by side now with Henderson, who we haven't said much about here after the end of stage 2 when he did that early pit. He's trying to get back up to the front here, currently sitting in 9th on the corn panel, that 99. But again, with it being such a big gaggle here, it's very hard to make inroads.
Yeah, the pole sitter trying to do what he has never done before, which is win from pole. He's trying to do something that he hasn't done in a very long time, which is win it all. 57 races and counting since his last win in this series. And you can see the winless driver total of all time here. He's not on that one. He's won 3 times, but he is trying his best to break the longest drought in HTL to win a race. He could do it from pole. He's never been on pole before. He got it tonight, looking to win and looking like a contender.
He is looking like a contender. Again, knock on wood, light the spirits, because we already put a few jinx on, me and Joe put many jinx on many a driver for this long season.
Oh, Meredith to the lead.
Knocked on the door, but Meredith going towards the front here. Again, some people may be new to the series wondering how was he a champion with how he's had a bad season last year. Well, he wants to prove the doubters wrong as he wants this lead. And the way to do it, win the marathon that is the BFL 500. Side by side with Hunter Peach, neither driver giving an inch. Peach, though, going to take advantage off the corner, and he's going to lead this lap. But Meredith putting a statement on it saying, hey, I'm not going anywhere. You're going to treat me with some respect.
God, this is the kind of stuff that you just fall in love with stock car racing for. Peach is not giving it up at the number 20, and Meredith is not going to give up either. Both of these guys have raced hard for years now at this point, and they're going to have another one of those grade A battles that we were used to seeing a couple of seasons ago between them. Sasek in the wings if anything goes sideways here, but he's trying to hang on those old tires. He's doing a great job of doing it, which gives these two the perfect stage to put on a performance.
It's always a thing that's a bit sketchy. I saw Henderson blink just a little bit there. 2 quick blinks. When you're having a good run, you're just hoping your internet holds, because I've seen countless times throughout series as a driver having a great run, the internet goes at the worst time, and you're just wondering what if. Dean Clavido looking to make a move for 3rd, side by side with Sasek.
Oh, he's up the hill.
Yeah, he's up the hill, though, almost going to put Sasek in the wall. He's going to have to let it go here to ensure no catastrophes happen. So Sasek will keep 3rd, and now Pendel is like, all right, you couldn't get it done. I'm going to try to make a move on you now.
And he forgot that Henderson was there on the outside. Did you see how much of a squeeze he put on that 25 car? Henderson keeping his foot in it. He's got the confidence that he's been lacking for such a long time, and all we have to do is think back to Indianapolis. Henderson was in the fight to win at the Brickyard, another crown jewel event, and here we are again with him being right there in the fight.
Yeah, this is where strategy kind of plays out here. This is where you got to be careful. Obviously, there's 4 crown jewels in this calendar year. Here's the camera was taking a bit of a tumble, almost like when the Sky camera fell at Charlotte that many years ago.
I'm not sure what's going on with that. But
luckily, didn't hurt any virtual fans. But we can see here, though, Henderson hanging on the high side, getting around the one-arm warrior of Dean Clavitt. As we're going to be side by side here, so I think we're having a few technical difficulties here. We'll see if we can get it straightened out here.
Yeah, without a doubt, definitely something wrong on the iRacing side, so apologies for that. We're going to try and find ourselves. It looks like now we might be back. Yes, we are, so apologies for that, but now back, camera's fixed. Not really sure what happened there, but great racing still going on throughout the field. Henderson still fighting in that top 5 with very tightly. In fact, that's a big send down there. Is that Yair Rodriguez?
Yeah.
It is. And that's his old buddy Matthew Boone on the outside. So new and old talent sandwiched right in between the man who makes the thing continue to run every week.
I think Matthew Boone kind of heard you saying he hasn't been much of a factor here tonight, and he wants to prove you kind of wrong here. He's currently sitting in 5th position. He wants to go to the front as well here. Oh, Blake got a little loose on that bump there, but he's going to keep it planted. So, hey, no harm, no foul, but definitely a bit of a sketchy moment watching it up here. But right now, in a bit of a sandwich, he's going to have to try to push his BFL sponsor teammate in front there to try to get ahead here.
Here's what I'll say. I have said so much about Blake Henderson, and the poor guy thinks I mean it when I make fun of him. I just tease him. This is the best form I have seen out of Henderson in the past few weeks that I have ever seen out of him, starting with Indianapolis and the performances he's put up. He's never had the results to show for it, but he is on fire tonight. He's taking gaps that he usually would have been panicked and backed out of. He has got the spark back, and he is going to be a threat whether he wants him there or not. He is not going to give it up. And speaking of not giving it up, Meredith is ready for round 2. He didn't hear no bell.
Yeah, he heard no bell indeed. Back up, ready to go. Again, another driver looking to spoil the patriotic day, even though he has the flag on the hood. Here's the quick race summary. 65 laps to go, only 5 cautions, 20 caution laps, and 22 lead changes to boot. And I think we're going to at least possibly have another one here before this race is concluded, especially how they're raging on. But it should be noting as well, Sasek, remember, I said, who came in at 102, he has now gone about 40-ish laps, and we're at 144 right now, so his pit stop window is officially going to open here, and in turn, about 20 laps later, we'll see the rest of this pack go. And even though, speaking of Sasek now coming in now, so it looks like my call was correct there, he's now coming in. But to kind of add to my point, we're about 20-ish laps away from seeing the rest of this field pit if it stays green, and it raises this question. Do you want to do the undercut? Because we've seen it work out for the drivers in the second stage, but it also bit them in the rear in the first stage.
Yeah, absolutely, we're on board with the helmet cam here. Sasa, keep an eye on your top right of that mirror. You can see the whole field go screaming by as he tries to woe it down to 45 miles an hour. Gets it in nice and clean here. Sasa going to be looking for his box at this point. A nice entry for the man who's going to kick off the pit stop cycle here. But as you mentioned, yeah, one stop from now, the strategies, who knows, but oh, it's just going to be so tight out there to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting indeed. Looks like having a bit of some mic issues as well, and with the camera, we do have some slight technical difficulties. We'll get them associated in a second here, so please do hang on. We can still hear my voice while we are talking right now. Voice is coming through, so at the very least, I'm still calling it. Looks like we do have some shots going here, so we're gonna have to do this radio style. Hunter Peach leading the way with Meredith and Rodriguez 1, 2, 3. Clavitt just made a move for 5th. Henderson made a move for the top 10. Now though, with Meredith trying to outfeel the pressure from Yair Rodriguez behind, there always is that threat that Meredith may be playing a bit lackadaisious here, and Rodriguez is like, that's cute. You're gonna have to make a move and do something quickly here if you're not careful. So let's Kristina still ironing out some connections issues here. So we are going to keep it going here with me trying to cover this. And it's going to be Peach still leading the way here. Hearing a little bit of commotion. Let's see if Kristina's back just a bit here. But Yair still hounding the back of that 17. And with just trying to make something happen here. Trying to get a run. Try to make it all occur here. You can see battle for second raging on. It is going to be Meredith and it's going to be Rodriguez here side by side. Yair going to try to get the run off corner entry here. Still holding it back here. High side has been the one that has prevailed when it's necessary. But right now, it is still Meredith hanging out and trying to make that high groove work. This is all Hunter Peach likes to see, as them being side by side is allowing him a chance to run. They almost touch, coming through the dog leg. It is going to be Meredith leading that time by, but Yahir flexing their muscle, one to try to get second position. And don't look now, there's a 3-car in the distance who won last year's event, trying to crash the party and join the top 3.
Yeah, absolutely, and apologies again for the technical difficulties at this point. I don't even know what to call them, but thank you for sticking it out with us. On board now with the 3 of Caitlin Height as she continues to track down those 3 leaders out her windshield. Meredith and Rodriguez continuing to fight over that second spot.
Yeah, they are fighting on the second spot. Obviously, we're refreshing trade paints as well just to make sure everything is cleaned out here. So the 2 test cutaway cars here battling it out. That's Rodriguez and Meredith still side by side. Now on the inside, we're watching Yahir Rodriguez, who's trying to maybe find a way to clear that 17, but that 17 not going away like a bad cold or even a rash. But I think Rodriguez is going to be able to slide job their way up here. They will successfully. Meredith has to know the goose is cooked here. Rodriguez up the second. Now Height was kind of waiting by, licking their lips. She's ready to try to take third away from Meredith.
Yeah, and she's going to have the tires to do it too. She hasn't been fighting a whole lot. We saw this earlier in stage 1, Kevin, where she waited a lot, waited for everybody's tires to go. You see Meredith literally slide up the hill, just not enough adhesion on those Goodyear Eagles. Makes it easy for Caitlin. We know she excels at these long green flag runs. It's what's made her a bit of a threat in this, not a bit of a threat, a major threat to win championship year in and year out. She's yet to do it here, but she's got a great opportunity to win the crown jewel twice in a row and be the first one to win back-to-back at the BFL.
Yeah, like I was saying, kind of speculating earlier, I wonder, because no driver has won 2 crown jewels probably in the same season. Obviously, I will hear that correction down the road if we can. You can see 1 car on the low side. That's Seth Wanzing just trying to putt around laps here to make time 35 laps down. But Height, remember, won the Brickyard race early in the year, won the 4 crown jewels event along with the Southern 500, BFL 500, and the Daytona 500, the HTL 500, I should say. So trying to be one of those drivers that win 2 out of the 4 crown jewels in a season. And hey, it's something you can't hate when you can do that. Right now, sitting in 3rd, matching your car number.
Yeah, absolutely. And with things getting spread out the way they are, you can see almost the entire top 15 single file. You'll have to go all the way back to Selena Thompson in 18th to see some side-by-side racing now as Blake Henderson and Bia Constantinu getting side-by-side. Henderson starting to fade on those tires a bit as he continues to fall out of the top 10 and back a bit. I think he'd be one of the first drivers we see come down pit lane and try and do that undercut to make up lost ground.
Weird, he didn't try the undercut in stage 1, but we saw him do it in stage 2 along with some of the cars he's running around right now, like Constantinu. So I definitely see it would be the ideal play, but the problem is you're not in your window quite yet to make it to the end, to the finish line. We kind of looking at averages, that would be around lap 166 to comfortably make it, which is still another 10 laps away. So you just got to be able to hang on here to make it occur here if you want to do that and split it nicely down the middle. Hunter Peach, though, adding to the laps led, now up to 44. I think that is rivaling the most laps led here tonight.
Yeah, without a doubt, as we take a look back through the rest of the field as well, we see Yahir Rodriguez. I think we're having more technical issues, unfortunately, here, which may impede what we're trying to do, but
lead a lap. Get the 3rd position. After that, Bob Flowers sitting in 4th as well, has yet only led a couple laps, and Zachary Meredith in 5th as well. That is the top 5. We are waiting for the connection kind of to hold on here again. So at the moment, as we're just holding this out, just hoping everything holds here with connection, getting another quick reset here, it is going to be Height right there. You can see in 3rd, slowly chipping down Yai here in 2nd. I think we're focusing on that. Kind of hard to tell with a little bit of a cutaway car here at the moment, but the graphic says Height. Height has a car in front of her. Now looks like we found the replay here. It is going to be Height right now chasing down Rodriguez for 2nd.
yeah, I don't know if you can hear me or not here, but it seems like Peach leading, but again, apologies for the technical. I am befuddled at what's wrong here, so I apologize for those, but Peach still leads Rodriguez over Height.
Yeah, we'll see here again as it's now top 3. Can't hear you loud and clear, Kristina, as it's just the calm before the storm. This top 3 has broken away. As you can see on the wide shot here, Blowers is currently those top 3. Then you see Blowers there in 4th. Almost for a quick second, we'll try to get it there. You can see Blowers right now, but he's got a train behind him with Joshua Sosi, who was a threat to win stage 2 and is defending champion along with Meredith. So 2 defending champions pounding the back of Bobby Blowers right now, trying to hold the pressure and not break. But as the window gets closer, around 165 is when we'll see drivers maybe truly peel off here. You got to think, what can you do to close up this gap and close it quickly?
Yeah, it's to the point where you still know you have a pit stop here. You're not quite in the situation where it's going to be game over. You still are. You're thinking, knowing that you have one pit stop to go. You're thinking about how you can get the most ground here. You need to maximize what you can. And as we see the 23 at 81 battling, and now looking at the 95 of Yahir Rodriguez as he closes in on Hunter Peach, these 3 cars in the top 3 know that they can change the course of this event with when they pit. If you're a bit further back, you're just thinking about maximizing your distance to the leaders, but these 3 are on completely different islands. They almost don't want to be the first one to pit because they know with how close it is, they're going to have the more worn tires at the end, whereas everybody else behind may be thinking about an undercut just to put themselves in a scenario and maybe force some passes to happen, because we know the more that these cars get side by side, then we get more situations where there could be cautions.
Well, one car that may have tried to force the effort here is Blake Henderson. To see him coming down the pit lane right now, he's officially hitting his box. Bit early to maybe make it on one more stop. There the leaders go around the wide shot there. So it is a scheduled stop for him, but it may be a bit early for that number 25 machine. So he's going to have to be careful here. He's going to have to save, but I think he's going to need the help of a caution if he wants to make something happen. Further back, though, Zachary Meredith, those 2 tires are beginning to fail him quickly, along with Blowers, as they are falling into the clutches of the cars that were on 4, like Sosi, Braille, and Lilac Sear, who's trying to hang their outside of Bobby Blowers.
Yeah, as you see now, looking at Katie Height continuing to close in with Yahir Rodriguez and Hunter Peach, as this battle's about to be the one that kicks off, because Yahir has caught Hunter Peach, and it is not over between these 3.
Yeah, they are putting it on here, and Peach was able to save his stuff without the pressure, so you know he's not going to have really as much thing. Yahir had to work their way up and up quickly. And this is, again, maybe a strategy where if you're Rodriguez, you undercut. If you're Height, you do the undercut when you hit the window, because this is close to when you need to hit this, as we are now almost in this window. And right now, Yahir wants the lead, going to take the low side, but Peach has made that outside line his domain.
Yeah, and Peach still hanging on Yahir Rodriguez up the back bumper. These 2 are about to take each other out. They can sniff each other as Katie Height closes in a little more too. She's probably got the best tires of these 3. And as Peach continues to run the outside, he's been the best up there all night. He's led arguably the most laps tonight, definitely the most laps tonight. And Yahir Rodriguez has been the firecracker of the league, really, trying to stick his nose into any situation he can. It is such a great battle between 3 drivers who equally deserve to be here, but all for different reasons. Katie Height still has yet to lead a lap tonight, though. Keep that one in mind as Rodriguez goes to the front.
Interrupt you. Hunter Peach is now officially coming in. He just said it on radio comms. You can see right now. You'll keep an eye on the left of your screen. He is now coming in. This is the money stop. You do not want to speed. You do not want to lock him up. Well, you can lock him up. It's not the end of the world. He will be in. Zachary Meredith joining as well. They will be the first of the major runners here to pit. So they are now officially in. Question is now, when will the rest of the field pit here?
Yeah, this is the critical moment. This is the last stop if it stays green. So this is
sorry,
why
cut off. Yahir Rodriguez looks like they are slow on the apron here.
Out of gas.
Out of gas. This is the second week in a row. A mistake has happened, and now they are spinning.
And he's around too.
No caution yet, though. Obviously, Control not going to throw it. We'll see it. The iRacing gods give it to him. He is now backwards. If that thing is out of fuel, he is going to have to tow.
He's done. Yeah, he's out. It's over. No caution. He's way off the racing surface, out of harm's way for even those trying to come into the pit lane. And for the second week in a row, Yahir Rodriguez's incredible effort is going to be for absolutely nothing. He is out of this race, at least out of contention, if he does not get a very lucky break in the name of a caution right this second. Everybody else is down pit lane now trying to make it to the end.
Yep, Zier pitting from the lead. Blowers in as well. Sosi going to stay out one more lap here. Thompson and Denny also as well. Going to go the long game here. Going to try to have the fresher tires to make something happen here as we see them traverse down the pit lane right now. But our race leader, Joshua Sosi, you can see right there. Question is, when will he elect to come in? Top 4 have yet to make their stops. Rest of the field, though, trapped one down. Sosi going to go one more. No, he is in officially now. He will take pit. We'll see if Thompson follows suits as well. They will stay out one more lap. And there's Hunter Peach looking to try to get their lap back just in case a caution comes.
Yeah, and you can see everybody peeling out of the pit lane now as we see the 27 fighting with the 20 as the 20 gets their lap back. It is getting it's getting exciting. We're going to see what we saw at the first couple stages where we have all these cars on fresh tires racing their way through the field as is Thompson and Arnold, technically the leaders with Susie. But here comes Thompson, I think, to come down pit lane, and she does peel off into the pit lane.
You are correct. That is going to put Eli Sasek to the point right now. Remember, pitted the earliest, stayed out the latest, but that's not all good news in Jolly Roses because Eli Sasek, remember, he came in 20 laps earlier. He cannot make it to the finish right now without the help of a caution. So he will not be your race leader all said and done when it cycles out. That is going to be the three we're focused on right now of Caitlin Height, who took advantage of the 95's misfortune and now has the lead over Hunter Peach, who are separated right now by our Arrowhead racing car. As you can see, they are pretty much nose and tail. And then Blake Henderson right there in third, who's making the undercut work side by side with Tommy Reynolds.
Looking now again at one of the cars that have made a pit stop racing through the field. There you see Sasek, your leader, as Katie, Height, and Peach wait in the wings. So it's Sasek with the advantage currently in the number 9. And now as there's 38 to go at the line, this will be for the finish of the BFL 500. This is what we have came and stayed for. The sun continues to set in the background and the shadows get longer. The track should cool off, and this should give us the fastest that we've seen all night.
This is going to be the hot lap time to go the fastest. Fuel tanks will be the lowest. If you're Sasek right now, you need a caution or you need something. If you're Height, Peach, or the rest of the field, you're probably hoping for this to go green to the finish, unless maybe you're Blake Henderson, who has a very dominant short-run car, could use that to get recycled up with the pit stops here. With the trends of the race pointing out and with the field spaced out, the likelihood of a caution isn't high, but Sasek going to try to make that work, but right now times are falling. Last time by, Sasek and Height dead heat. Actually, not even dead heat. 30.53 for Sasek, 30.30 for Height. Height is coming, Height is closing, but Hunter Peach is following in tow as well.
It's worth noting Peach was even faster, and Tommy Reynolds in fourth was even faster. It is 3 tenths between the entire top four for how much faster one was than the other. Here's Reynolds now through the dogleg. He's the fastest car on the racetrack right now, running a 29.7 and now a 29.8. All three leaders in front of him in the 30 seconds mids or 30 lows. So caution.
Caution's out. Three almost tried to make a move there. Couldn't get it done for the caution. Got called. Trying to see who it was. I'm not seeing anyone slow on track. Still trying to figure out who exactly it was for. Right now, I am a little bit perplexed. I think it was Seth Wansing. It was Seth Wansing jumping the pit, so looks like Seth Wansing had an incident here in his wounded car from what I'm seeing.
So see if we can't take a look at what happened to Wansing in the 5, who has already had a night to forget after what might have been one of the strongest efforts we've seen in a while in HTL. Let's see what it is that brings him to bring out this caution.
What it was, and you'll see here, it may be a violation of the rules here. We'll see here what happened, but he's going to come around the high side here. Maybe the car's too broke. Maybe he's just frustrated, but you're going to see him just take a hard right down here, pull off the track, and just going to park it. And I guess the iRacing gods decided to say that is what deemed the incident, because that's the only thing that had a crash on my indicator of wrecks. So that is what was most likely the deem of the caution here that iRacing threw. Very odd situation around. Probably going to get a reprimand for stopping on our active racing surface. But regardless, that's going to change everything. That is the bailout Eli Sasek needed, and needs it quite nicely. This is also going to help out some other drivers like Henderson, but Henderson going to stay out. That is a bold call for a car that really is not good on long runs.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm floored by that. I think seeing Lilac Zier stay out makes some sense, as well as Bia Constantinu. I am shocked to see Henderson stay out, but if it works, we'll all be eating our caps by the end of this one. But yeah, I'm not surprised to see cars come down for extra sets, extra fuel, what have you, because you have to also think there could be overtime later on. I don't know. I would have pit in this scenario, Kevin. I wanted to get the fresh tires. We know how much it matters to get those. We've done the full green flag cycle. It won't hurt too much to do. We see most of the field agreeing with me on that one. But yeah, I don't know. This is one of those moments now where nothing matters. It's just a straight out shootout to the finish. No need to save fuel or anything unless we get several overtimes. But yeah, I don't know. Obviously, Seth Wansing not intending to bring out the caution, because you think back to what just happened to Yahir Rodriguez. Same spot, really. Same scenario, and didn't bring out a caution. But for whatever reason, Seth Wansing's did. I don't know about that
honestly,
one, but
obviously,
yeah.
we'll hear what he has to say, and obviously post-race when he's in his chat in the Discord server explaining what happened. Obviously, though, just unlucky with the car getting thrown like that. He'll get a talking to on that, maybe a reprimand, just because, again, wasn't intentionally, but you still can't stop on a racing surface, but didn't think a caution was going to be thrown. But
I think his defense would be that it wasn't on the racing surface.
Yeah, I
he
know.
was very
He was
far off.
way
But
off.
I get what you mean. Yeah, it's just a strange situation. I mean, rightfully will be reprimanded or talked to, but you do feel bad for him because he did make an effort to
and
to get out of the way at least.
after that wreck, running a good day, just
two of them,
frustrated.
in fact, yeah.
Yeah, very frustrated, and you can just feel the emotion having a good car and it slip through your fingers. But regardless, we'll get back on track here. Top 9, had to make sure my number was correct. Actually, 8 stayed out. Height on down all came in, but this is where it's interesting. Height, Meredith, Reynolds, Blowers. Height and Meredith, fuel only. Blowers, Peach, 2 tires. Actually, make sure this is right here. I want to make sure my numbers are correct. Sorry, Hunter Peach took 4, Sasek took 4, Blowers, Reynolds took 2, Meredith and Height, fuel only. The rest of the ones ahead all stayed out. And we've seen Meredith make 2 tires work on a long run. And we saw it with Blowers too. We even saw no tires work for a bit as well. So I don't hate staying out, especially if you think another caution will come and you can use those fresh tires, because track position is key. But we saw as well in situations when tire advantage played, like Constantinu at the end of stage 2, carving their way through the field when the rest of the tires took fuel. So I agree with you, Kristina. I would like 4 tires, but if I think there's another wreck, I want to save a set to make sure we have something at the end.
You know, we typically butt heads when it came to philosophies on the racetrack, but in a booth, I think it's perfect. I would have never even considered that as a possibility, and it makes a very good point, Kevin. You're kind of placing your bets on hoping there is more calamity and being able to take advantage of that later. But my counterpoint to that, as we take a look through the field to see the statistics here, what if it's just a string of cautions? Then it doesn't really matter, does it? Because there's no laps ran on green flag pace. So you got to hope for a 10, 15 lap green flag run, then another caution. It's just putting a lot of faith in other people screwing up, which is not uncommon, because as we get closer to the end of this thing, the less likely we are to stay clean. But it's putting a lot in the racing god's hands.
I mean, we saw this last week as well, when it was just caution after caution after caution, short run after short run after short run, and you never really truly got a chance to get in rhythm. But if it goes long, like we've seen throughout after a caution, we haven't seen back-to-back cautions quickly, it plays in the hands of the cars that have the fresh tires. But right now, it's going to be Henderson and Zia row 1, Arnold Constantinu row 2, Thompson Denny row 3, Morrison Elias row 4, Height Meredith row 5. Again, first tire on fresh tires will be Hunter Peach all the way back in row number 7. So a long way to go. Henderson, our pole sitter, going to try to hang on here till the finish.
Oh, he's just doored Lilac Zir there.
Unintentionally, just trying to make sure the tires are scuffed off here and gripped in. Pace car going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane. It's going to be on the 25's control. Green flag is now officially out. Henderson is away, and away we go for the next restart. Zier also in tow, going to take second.
The intensity is picking up now, Kevin. Inside of 30 laps to go next time by. It's going to be all bets off if it wasn't already. The lights are officially on. The track now fully bathed in either shade or artificial floodlights. As side by side for the lead now, Zier going to have an early move down into turn 3 on Henderson.
Yeah, you got a lot of hungry drivers right now. Zier on the low side. You know, they almost doored under pace laps here. No one's going to give each other an inch here. Henderson leads this lap. And remember, Zier has only gotten 1 win this series last year at the Firecracker 400, the second Daytona race, to clinch their spot into the playoffs. You know, Zier's also on a long drought too. Henderson clips the wall. Constantinu almost follows the leader off the cliff here. And Zier's going to make a move for the lead.
incredibly still side by side since the drop of the green flag. They have not let each other go, even with the wall hit and the door slams. They continue to stay neck and neck at the line. Henderson all out of shape, but still hanging on the outside lane for second. This time by was Zier leading the lap, but Henderson sticking it right on the outside, and here comes Constantinu for backup.
Constantinu going to be the loyal soldier here, going to try to find a way to find a lane. Josh Arnold there, we haven't said much about him since the end of stage 1. He is right there in his number 2 machine, just trying to find a lane. And don't look now, I see a Williams 3 on that low line, already found her way up to 7th. Zier going to clear, but clip the wall there, trying to close the door. Henderson not going to be able to capitalize. Zier will lead the lap, but you know it's all the play for here as we see lines that we almost saw at Atlanta a couple weeks ago.
Oh, and a shot Connor Morse just gave to Selena Thompson, who, by the way, where in the hell did they come from? It's Thompson and Morse on the bottom, side by side. 2, 3, 4 rows back behind the 2 leaders. Zier finally gets some daylight, and now 3 wide immediately. Henderson in the middle. Hang on to it as they are 3 wide out of turn 4. Henderson in the sucker hole, and here comes Height behind.
It's not going to get any better here. It's still 3 wide. Henderson's going to find a way. They touch again. Henderson saves it. Probably going to be wise to give them at least a little bit of room here before they end up all going around. Height will at least pay a little bit of respect here, saying, hey, it's better not to end up wrecking the field here and give at least a second. I got fresher tires. No reason to press here. Back to the second position, though. You see Constantinu, who's itching for a win, side by side with Thompson, who's had a very miserable start to the year, but definitely can fix that with a win, battling hard for second. And look at Connor Morse, the young gun, the rookie, the youth, trying to show why the strength is in the youth.
Yeah, the 2 youngest drivers in the field just door slammed each other for 3rd place in HTL. They're 3.5 wide down the back straightaway. Where in the world has Selena Thompson come from? She just gives a shot to the back of Zier now, hanging in 5th place, 4th place, fighting with fighting with Height now. I don't know where she found this speed. I don't know where she found this position, but she's making the most of it. And here's Tommy Reynolds, who was seemingly out of it after spinning out, bringing out the first caution of the day. He continues to be relentless in this. He is not giving it up either. This is an incredible bout for the win here in the BFL 500, and nobody has given it up. 3 wide almost again in turn number 3. They can't do this forever, Kevin.
No, they can't without someone having to lift or someone going to the inferior care center. Right there, I want to report Reynolds. Remember, 2 tires. Thompson, Arnold, 4 fresh tires. Well, Arnold, remember, Selena Thompson came in a lot earlier, though, but still worth noting, slightly fresher tires for Hunter Peach, who's currently sitting there. Zachary Meredith in 8th, and you see Tom Reynolds sitting in 5th, trying to make those fresh tires work. But up front, it is Constantinu and Morse 1-2, and if Morse could come in on a fill-in row for Paisley Wygent and steal the show, that would be the ultimate underdog story. Car on the wall, we got it all straightened out, though. It's Bobby Blowers, but no one is wrong way around. We stay green.
It's the Romanian driver of Bia Constantinu, who has found so much prowess on the road courses, leading the 2nd biggest oval of the year, followed by a kid who still has to do his homework every night, followed by Caitlin Height, a perennial threat for the championship. I can't predict anything that's going to happen in the final 20 laps of this event because it is all upside down. And here comes the Daytona 500 winner, Tommy Reynolds, back up into the podium spots.
Yeah, the 2 Crown Jewel winners this year fighting hard for 3rd and 4th respectively. Reynolds will clear. Remember, Reynolds was in the shout of winning that race too.
Around goes Peach.
Hunter Peach.
Pendel hard as well. There goes Sasek in the 9, and now back up into traffic. That's Mongold as well, and everybody scatters from behind, but they couldn't do it forever, Kevin. There was no way they made it to the end. But what are we being treated to other than one of the races potentially of all time in HTL? This was bound to happen. It all started when Hunter Peach got out of shape, smacked the wall out of turn number 2, and it all popped off from there.
Yeah, that wall hit right there, right into the one-arm warrior, Pendel. He hits it a ton. Peach hits it even harder. Sasek gets sent over the road, right into Mongold, and 4 cars get some heavy damage there. I think Mongold gets the lightest of the 4. He should be able to still continue on, but the other 3, that could be catastrophic damage. So a little bit further up here, you can see it's Zier right there. Now look at even further
yeah,
back.
It starts with Zier. She hits the wall going into turn 1. Gets, I think, may have made contact. Definitely makes contact with Meredith. That throws her off her lane. She gets crowded by Arnold. hits the wall, and that's where everybody goes. The 20 car hops up into the air. The 9 car collected, comes back and collects the 91. But you know who this is going to bail out? This is going to bail out Blake Henderson. This is exactly what he needed. He needed a green flag run followed by a round of pit stops. Connor Morse and Reynolds stay out. Everybody else coming down pit road now. So this is going to be really, really interesting to see what happens, who all stays out, and who thinks they can make it happen.
I just was watching. If you heard my gasp, it was just how Reynolds and Morse played out. Reynolds made it kind of quick there. Morse even later almost hit the itinerary wall there with how late they made that call to stay out. They will want the track position, and remember,
sorry, Henderson slid his box, so anything he was going to gain from this pit stop is gone. Sorry to cut you off there, but a huge moment for the pole sitter to lose a lot of time. But yeah, Morse stays out with Reynolds and Flores. It's all the way back to Bia Constantinou to find the first car that stopped for tires with under 20 to go now.
Yeah, that is interesting to see here. And Constantinou, remember, took 4 fresh tires with her stop. Sosi up a couple spots, elected to take 2. Rest of the cars that came in want 4. Now, if you're obviously coming in now, the likelihood you're coming in again, unless the car is damaged, is probably nilch, but not 0. We've seen weirder things happen. Morse and Reynolds banking on the clean air here with this strategy. Same thing with Connor Morse. Obviously, Morse in a fill-in role here. He is not coming back next week unless White's not here again, so he's only looking for the trophy. Reynolds already has the win this season to get himself into the playoffs. Now a full-time competitor. Doesn't have to worry. A few other cars now coming in. Flores.
That's Flores. He's rescinded 3rd. I don't know if he maybe meant to even stay out. So... or maybe he missed his box altogether, but that will give Constantinou critically the inside line in row number 2. You see Dustin Hall there trying to see if he could sneak a wave around. Unfortunately, not going to happen for one of the strongest cars in stage 1. Those internet issues going to continue to plague him tonight. Going to be thinking what could have been, though it's not entirely over. The 96 Arrowhead machine of Tommy Reynolds trying to do the undoable and win 2 crown jewels in the same season. He won the Daytona 500, and he would love to add Charlotte to his trophy collection.
And that would definitely be an interesting collection for a car that flipped at the 500. And in turn, hey, for a driver that wasn't even expected to run full time, coming off a championship last year in the A² Cup Series, different series, but a lot of drivers in A² run here as well. Came in here, was only going to run part-time, and hey, won the 500, was like, hey, you want a full-time ride at Arrowhead again? He said yes, and now, hey, why not kick off this season here quite nicely and give yourself a chance to make a run? Hunter
Peach, the dominant car of the night, out of the race as a result of all of this calamity that occurred. You can see one more time here, he is not going to return. He led the most laps tonight, and with that hospital hop down the backstretch, he's going to exit this event. Another heartbreaking blow between him and Yahir Rodriguez. Almost 70% of the laps run tonight led. He officially brings it behind the wall. He cannot continue. He is out of the race, which opens the door for opportunity for every single driver behind.
It's basically giving a warning shot saying, hey, strong car just went behind the wall. It opens the door for the others. We hit 1 lap to go here before we get the green flag, and 18 laps await these drivers if it stays green. Connor Morse, Tommy Reynolds will be in row number 1. Constantinou and Sosi in row 2. Height Thompson, row 3. Meredith Arnold, row 4. Zier and Clavitt, your row 5. And inside that top 10, the only 2 drivers to find victory lane this season, or 3 I should say, are Reynolds, Sosi, and Height, both 2nd, 4th, and 5th respectively, and 2 of those drivers won the Crown Jewel races.
It's going to be an absolute banger to the finish here if they stay green. It'll be 17 laps of racing to go around one of the most famous stock car circuits in the world. It is the young gun, Connor Morse, who I think, if I'm thinking correctly, was born during the COT era of NASCAR. It is alongside the Daytona 500 winner of Tommy Reynolds, then the Romanian of Bia Constantinou, the mailman, the reigning champion, Josh Susi, the perennial and winningest driver in HTL, Caitlin Height, the young gun Selena Thompson, who's having a career drive, a former champion of Zach Meredith, then the 2 of Josh Arnold, a strategy mastermind of Lilac Zier behind, Don't count out Dean Clavette, the Canadian, trying to spoil the Americans' day. That's the top 10 as we get ready to take the green flag here for potentially the final time at Charlotte.
As they enter the restart zone, gonna be on Morse's control. Green flag is out, and away we go for Puffy, like you said, Kristina. The final time. Morse gonna get a good charge, and look at Sosi going from high to low. Feels confident low side. Gonna ditch Reynolds on the high side and try to make move with the low car. Car spinning. Gonna get
to 29.
Yep, nope, it's gonna be multiple cars. Clavin involved. Josh
that's
Arnold
the
around.
two.
Up the road is the 64 William Britton, our stage 2 winner.
Yeah, it's a restart wreck. I think that kicked off. I don't know if he had help or not, but I saw the 29 pitch sideways, and I think there was a lot of reactions in response to that. We'll take a look at it here from the blimp view. It'll be the easiest view. Watch that 29 Budweiser, the white and red, just on the outside of that orange and camouflage 23. He just lost it on his own, Kevin.
Yeah, see him lose it right there, keeping it safe. Remember, involved in the actually, that's outstanding. My mistake. Not involved. Tries to come up the road. And another incident happens right there, just up the road. You can see cars.
Oh, you see Zier and Clavette. So some seriously strong contenders in this one. We'll take a look and see what happened now with the 50 once again from the blimp camera. So we saw what happened to the 29 of Denny. I wonder, Clavette all over the back of the 2. I wonder if there was contact there, Kevin, that kicked that one off.
Yeah, we'll see here again. I did see a little bit. Obviously, the first off spin was the 929, but the second one was this one. And you're going to see the 2.
Oh, they both just dropped it.
Yeah.
And nowhere to go for Clavette or Zier. And as the 2 rolls back into traffic, collects Britton and Elias Flores, so another strong contender involved there. And that is going to be what brings out the caution again here. So Connor Morris sitting in a pretty good position, as well as Bia Constantinu, even on those older tires, continuing to outlast the spree of crashes here that put us now what will be getting the green flag within 15 to go, surely maybe close to 10 to go. So what has been a very clean, very intense race for the first half, probably the first, honestly, 3 quarters, is getting to that point now, Kevin, where everybody's all give, zero take. Friendships are being ruined if they have to. You're trying to win a crown jewel in HTL. You will get turned if you try to make a block you can't hold.
Yeah, you got to be wary of that. You got to know what you can hold if you can hold it. One thing I want to bring up, kind of the sad story in that incident, is Byron Jones. He's 1 lap away from getting back on the lead lap. Would have got the lucky dog. Wasn't really involved in it, but since he slowed down, I always thought he was involved in the caution. He does not get the lucky dog now, and he will still now be 1 down. So he had a bad connection early, went 3 down, has spent the whole night clawing his way back, and now he is still 1 down with 15 to go, just wanting to get back on that lead lap, just have a chance to fight for some positions.
I have the slightest feeling that it may not be the last opportunity. I said it could be the last green flag a moment ago, but with this string of cautions, the anxieties of these drivers, of which we still have over 20 plus circulating the track, it is one of those deals where you are just sweating it out and hoping and praying that you can make every position you can. And with this track, the narrowness is showing. This is the longest race of the year. The mental fatigue is showing for these drivers. It is one of these events that comes along once a year. It is a crown jewel for a reason. It will test every part of you as a sim racer, and it's showing, the cracks are showing in a lot of drivers' armors now.
Yeah, you're seeing it happen right now. And there's also something else kind of to note as well, looking at all this information. Almost lost my train of thought here. Oh, yeah, the thing I remember now. Cautions happen, but when you wish for a caution, you want a caution, sometimes you become the caution.
Yeah.
You got to be careful about that. So even though Byron's wishing for another caution, maybe to get around it, and actually, he's going to get a lucky break here. Carmen is deemed he was not involved in the incident, so he is going to get his wave around now, and he will be back on the lead lap. So Carmen looking out, doing good race control there, deeming that iRacing made a mistake. He will get back on the lead lap, and that will he will get his wish, and he will join the lead lap crew. And even worth noting, if we get a few more wrecks, Dustin Hall is only 2 laps down, so 2 more cautions, and he'll have a chance to compete to get back in the lead lap as well. So overall, you can't count on a lot of these drivers yet, especially with how many laps are remaining.
It is a comeback drive for the 19 of Byron Jones. That is 180 laps in the making, but he has found his way back onto the lead lap. What can he do with it is the question, but that's all these drivers ever ask for, Kevin, is a chance.
Yeah, you want a chance here, and you want to have your opportunity to compete. One chance, one opportunity to make something happen. Even looking in the chat right now, Dustin Hall's fingers crossed, hoping for carnage. But again, don't wish that on a monkey's paw, or else it will go the opposite direction.
Yeah, you want the carnage. You don't want to be the carnage, but unfortunately, you don't get the choice in that, especially on a track like this. Careful what you wish for.
But anyway, we got the one to go. When we take the flag, we'll have 12 magical laps left. Morse, Constantinu, row number 1. Constantinu, remember, has the freshest tires in this top 4, with both Reynolds staying out of the last caution along with Morse, and Joshua Sosi taking 2 tires on the 188 stop. Next row is going to be Thompson and Height, then it's Meredith and Clavitt, Flowers and Boone, your top 10. Constantinu looking right now like the cat eyeing the canary, and it's all playing into her hands. But with 12 laps still remaining and some strong drivers around, she can't put one hand in that trophy yet, or else it may end up slapping her in the face.
And not to mention a smattering of strategy calls, no tires, 2 tires, 4 tires, all throughout what remains of a very strong field. So I would usually make a joke right about now about Connor Morse having to get to bed for a school night, but guess what, guys? It's summer. He does not have to go to bed anytime soon. He's here for the long haul. He wants to win the BFL 500.
Yeah, he wants to win it, and at the very least, maybe when the school comes back around, could brag to his classmates and his friends that he won this race. But anyway, pace car is going to take the lonesome trip down pit lane. It's going to be on Morse's control. He's got to have to be careful not to spin the tires here. As the pace car comes down, we're going to see what he can do with it. As they enter the restart zone, green flag is out, and away we go. And you can see Reynolds trying to push that 00 clear here to give himself a chance.
Yeah, he will give himself a chance if he can just find the gap. Although we've seen multiple times tonight, 3 wide, sketchy, but can work, especially if you have a tire advantage. As they come out of turn 2 now, nearly contact between Constantinu. That's Gibney Jr. in the wall. He keeps it pointing in the right direction. We stay green for now. Reynolds nearly hooks the 0.
That's not to the wall.
Yeah, and so is Reynolds.
Both
They're all in the
wall.
fence.
3 wide.
Contact between the leaders, and now the 00 goes flying through the infield. Constantinu in the lead now. 3 wide contact, and around they go.
That's not good. 00 tried to merge up successfully right into the 22 of Gary Donaldson. Thompson was there. Gibney in that as well. You can see other cars flying through. Pendel, Flores.
That's everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the whole field clobbered in turn 1. You knew, you know, that's the inexperience. Oh, and now Hall gets clobbered by Pendel as he tries to get going again.
Oh, Dustin, that's the monkey paw wish right there. He wanted carnage, and he just got involved in it. Overall,
unbelievable.
Another look again here. You're going to see right here, 00, 57 side-by-side.
They touch there. I'm quite sure they touch there. Now they get side-by-side again. Reynolds hits the wall. Almost hooks the 00, but now they're going to come together. The 57 smacks the wall. They come together out of turn 4. And, you know, this is one of those deals where just, I mean, inexperience, overzealous moves, just hooks Selena Thompson, an innocent bystander. Great avoidance by Caitlin Height in the 3. One of the few cars to get through it. Blowers gets clobbered, the 22, the 1, the 11, the 99, the 94, the 2, the 64, 18, 71. Count them all. They're all involved, Kevin.
Honestly, one thing I was thinking of is keep your foot in it, keep your foot in it. Well, pow is how it ended there.
Yeah,
Morse,
without a doubt.
You can't blame Morse per se because you're going to keep your foot in it. You're not going to lift. The problem, log leg was coming to an end, tried the merge up, and there was a 27 just right on the low side there.
It's just one of those situations where you gotta think about the consequences. If he had given a little more room, I think it's just the angle of attack when he comes back up. This is the helicopter view of it. It's one of those moves where as a driver you can understand, but also as an official, as another driver, you just look at that and go, you should have thought more about it. But keep in mind, this kid's very young. He's not been in this situation too often. He's trying to hold the angle, but the dogleg funnels up, nowhere to go. And that's what happens when you're trying to lay it all out on the line. Whether you put him at fault or not, what's happened. You can't take that one back.
Yeah, you can't take it back indeed. And again, I admire the heart. The kid's going to learn from this, and it's going to give him some room to grow here. And you can't hate. Again, I think if you pull every driver in this field in that situation, do you lift or do you just keep your foot down, hope you can find a way through? And, well, you ended up running out of road. And right now, Thompson not fear is kind of furious. You can see in the chat how she's firing it out right now. You don't blame her either, because she was just minding her business, and well, overall, it's just messy day all around. 2 strong cars now behind the wall. That's going to give us 17 cars still running without major damage.
Yeah, it's to put it blunt, it's not a smart move. That was not a good move by Connor Morris. I think just point blank, I understand what the move was. I've been there before when I was his age. I've been there before, probably a little older than him, embarrassingly enough to admit. But it's just one of those situations where you see you're tunnel visioned on one thing, and that's winning the race, and that's the risk he took, and it's a bad decision. There's nothing you can say about it. The best thing he could do is just own it, apologize, and move on. I think everybody who's ever sat in a race car, virtual or real, is going to understand the mentality of that, but also is going to say, probably not the smartest decision to make, but he's a kid. Like you said, Kevin, he's going to learn, and hopefully he doesn't make the same mistake again.
Yeah, and that's, again, room to grow, because there's drivers still in the sim that will make mistakes constantly, never learn. So if you can take it as a learning lesson, you can't hate that at all. Dustin Hall will get one of his laps back as well, so he'll now be 1 down as well. Got waved around the pace car as well. So
interesting, considering, granted, it was a silly reason why he was involved, but considering he was technically involved, it's interesting to see the admin wave. But
yeah, overall,
I don't disagree with it though. I think fair enough.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it is what it is, but overall Dustin will take advantage of that, but still will be 1 down. So we'll need another to even get a chance to get back on this.
He might.
Yeah, but with 8 to go, let's set the scene here as we'll have 1 to go next time by. Constantinu Reynolds, going to be row number 1. Constantinu, a driver that at the death of the nail last season won a crucial road course race to get themselves into the Final 4, looking to try to now win on an oval to get a win. Reynolds trying to win the 2nd crown jewel this year. Row 2, Sosi and Height, teammates, 1-2 last week. Maybe got a bit affected by the qualifying. Like you said earlier in the broadcast, Height had a fast car, maybe affected by the bad track conditions. They'll both be in row 2. And remember, Height has a crown jewel victory as well, won the Brickyard 500. Next up, or 400 I should say. Next up, Meredith and Clavitt. Meredith, defending champion of Season 3, looking to try to get over that hangover and get a win. Dean Clavitt still looking for the first win since Season 2, a Truck Series champion in Season 2, looking to do it. To finish up the next 2 rows, you got Blake Henderson, our pole sitter in the next row, along with Jeremy Braille, who's finished 2nd so far this season. And then the last row of the first 5 rows, Austin Mongol, the Dr. Pepper man, looking to do the ultimate upset, along with Alfred Denny, who has not finished on a podium in all his time in HTL competition, looking to maybe break that mulligan and maybe even find a way into victory lane. A lot of interesting stories here tonight in this crown jewel. One of these drivers will find a way to victory lane. The question is, what story will find their glass slipper?
Yeah, absolutely, and it's worth keeping in mind here, the 57 car, pretty significant contact with the outside retaining wall, more than one occasion, especially through turn 3 and 4 in the crash that brought out the caution, so don't forget about that. I think Tommy Reynolds is in the best situation he's been in since earlier tonight to really make up for that mistake. He flipped over at Daytona and won that race. He may go from a spin to win here tonight. We'll find out in 7 laps, 6 laps now. Time, green flag back in the air here at Charlotte.
Also, trying to preemptively time it there, giving 57 a little shove. 57, though, going to get clear. Well clear for first. Sosi going to try to beat the driver in the catbird. See on the low side. Clavitt pinched Meredith. Meredith coming back up the road into Henderson. Henderson around along with Braille. And that is day done probably for Henderson and the 44. Another innocent bystander situation, you could say, for the 25. And that, you could hear the sad piano music right now as Henderson's wondering what he has to do to make it to the end of a crown jewel.
It is absolute devastation in the 25 pit. They cannot believe what's just happened. The pole sitter with so much potential in this race led so many laps compared to previous events that it's going to end up just like Indianapolis, where it's just not enough. And I don't think he's too pleased with the scenario here. We'll have a look and see what even happened to bring out this caution. You mentioned it was contact with the 90 car.
Yeah.
And the 44, so.
You'll see here, it's going to be Clavitt and Meredith is going to be your problem child here. I think Clavitt's going to close the door on Meredith, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Clavitt tried to squeaking a hole that just wasn't quite there, and nowhere for Brejo to go or Henderson. 2 innocent bystanders collected as a result. And a heartbreak for both of them. Brejo, who's been trying so hard to find a victory lane this year, and Henderson, who has not seen it in years at this point. The longest drought in HTL history is going to continue for someone who was so energized and was running at the top of his game all night tonight. It's an absolute heartbreak for both of them, but this again opens the door for Bia Constantinou, who had a brilliant restart with the help of Josh Sosi, now finds herself out front again. Tommy Reynolds on the outside. Everything is set stage as it was before, only now Clavette up 1 position as a result of the calamity happening around. So you've got 2 drivers who are equally going to fight each other for this win as they have the last several restarts. You've got teammates behind them. Then you've got Clavette and Meredith, Mongol, Denny, Swatsworth. It's just going to keep going. And we're in the point now, Kevin, where if we have another crash, it's going to be overtime. So this will be the final restart in regulation for tonight's event.
Yeah, right now, I did want to give some quick confrontations. You're wondering why Dustin Hall got the wave around real fast. First of all, Liam Thompson got the wave around this time by, will be on the lead lap. But it's the Swatsworth rule. It applies to cars that are supposed to be in the free pass, but then are hit by cars unfairly to remove that ability. So that's why Dustin Hall got the wave around, similar to what kind of happened to Byron Jones, even though he didn't get any contact. So that is why he got the wave around last time by, just in case there's any confusion. And now Selena Thompson gets the wave around. Dustin Hall, probably hoping for a green white checkers. He would then be the car to get the wave around here. But up front, though, Reynolds, he saw what happened last restart. He's got that in the back of his mind. If it happens again, he's going to be left like barbecue chicken. So he's going to have to be careful. And in turn, you got 2 teammates going to line up in row 2 side by side. So you know for a fact, Height, it's interesting because if Height can get behind Sosi before around Reynolds, Reynolds is toast. But if Height maybe tries to push Reynolds, it could make the problem worse for both. So it's work with teammates.
You have teammates, but I realize how many laps are left now, and I take back what I said. You have no teammates right now. You are trying to get everything you can get. This is a team sport. This is a very team-heavy league. But at the end of the day, you are the one who's trying to win the crown jewel. When it comes to Susie and Height, they both have won crown jewels in respective years. They don't need to try and help anybody win anything. They've both won enough for 2 people's worth. So they're going to fight each other if they have to. They'd only help each other in the situation of trying where they can no longer help themselves. That's when you see the team play come in. I think if it's a situation on a 1 to go and there's nowhere to go, then you help your teammate maybe a little bit here and there, but they're going to be selfish. They're race car drivers at the end of the day, and as much team play and as much politics as you put into this, it's motorsport. There's only one winner per race, and they want it to be them. Yeah. I do want to point out real quickly, Byron Jones, who just got back on the lead lap, is up to 11th as a result of all this carnage. He could get a top 10 before this is over after being laps down on a 180 lap strong comeback.
Honestly, I kind of low-key hope he wins this thing, because that would be the ultimate never give up story right there about keeping your nose down in a race even when you're 3 down at lap number 7.
Critical moment here. I hate to cut you off again, but this is critical. They come across the line. They are going to continue for 1 more lap, which means this is not going to be a regulation finish. This is our first attempt at overtime. The green-white checkered, the rules being as follows. The field will come around and take the green flag with 2 laps remaining. If the caution flag comes out before the field reaches start-finish to take the white flag, we'll rack it up, try it again. We'll do it as many times as we need to. Once the field takes the white flag, it's all bets are off. It doesn't matter if there's a car in the grandstands. We stay green and come back to finish the race, but we have to get there once. We have to finish 1.5 miles under green flag racing to make it official. If we can't do that, we keep going until we do. It's going to get crazy regardless of how many attempts we have, Kevin. We have a very, very stacked grid that has made it to the end for this event.
Yeah, and that's worth noting. Obviously, congratulations, you got to read those rules off. That's usually my job, so hey, got to save my voice on that one. But overall, though, it's going to get crazy. And with only 2 laps, you're going to have 1 green, 1 white, 1 checkered, unless a wreck happens again. you know the pressure's on. You know these drivers are going to push for it. You know they're going to want this as hard as they can get it. And the question is, what doors will open up for them when they can hit? So pace car actually going to pull on off here, even though, yeah, we'll be an unofficial pre-run record here. So we're going to see it right now. What can Constantinu do? Green flag is out as we are going to have 2 laps to go here. Good clear there by Constantinu. Sosi, Reynolds side by side. As you can see, some drivers trying to make moves high and low. Desperation is setting in.
Oh, Sosi trying so hard to clear Reynolds, but with another fantastic restart, but the 96 is not going to give it up. But this just opens the door for Constantinu, damage or not, to try and pull away as they come into turn 3 and 4.
Right now, side by side for second, height there in the distance. 3 and 4, no cars around as the 57 comes off the last corner. She is going to see what she wants to see. White flag in the air. She's got 1 more lap to try to hang on 1.5 miles.
I think it might be Bianca Constantinu's day as they're side by side behind. Susie clear, but can he have enough momentum? He had a very poor turn 2. We'll see as they come down the back straightaway. Final time into turn 3.
Cars beating a bang in the back, but her eyes are on the lead as they come through 3 and 4. There's a battle there for 4th, but Constantinu sees it all. No challenge by behind. She has took it. She has stolen it. She has won in the 57. The Romanian warrior has won this race. Sosi coming home in second and Height in third. Congratulations to Constantinu, representing Romania, breaking up, you could argue, the patriotic night here, and she will take that win, and she will clinch her way into the playoffs. So the Romanian warrior, goddess, whatever you want to call her, the Romanian fill in the blank, she has won, and she is going to celebrate like there's no tomorrow.
What a way to get your first win of the season. A road course ace gets it done on the oval in one of the crown jewels and comes screaming across the turf to take checkered flag in the most stylish way possible as the Monster Energy 57 car burns it down. Caleb Carter crossing the line, teammate, I believe, or at least compatriot to the 57, but it's Bianca Constantinu's day on a night that honors Americans. It's the Romanian that brings it home tonight in a fantastic display under the lights here at Charlotte.
Again, you argue she's a road course ringer, but she has shown a massive potential on these short tracks and super speedways and every other oval under the sun, and she's finally put it together here, and you can see in that ruby red monster machine, she is ecstatic right now. If we could have a radio on there, she'd be probably screaming on it with how much she is burning that thing down right now. But still, gotta also give a quick shout out to Sosi and Height getting a 2-3 for Lady Liberty, and they are showing why that team right now is the class of the field and why they'll be strength for the playoffs. But 57 crashing the party. She is ready and poised, and if she can keep the run she had last year going, she could easily be a threat for a championship in well over 12 weeks' time.
What more proof do you need? We knew that she was good at road courses. We knew that she was improving at ovals, but now she's done it. She's won one of the toughest ovals on the calendar. What more proof do you need that she is going to come for this championship trophy in 12 weeks' time? It is unbelievable what she managed to pull off, putting herself in the front, playing the strategy call to perfection, and hanging on when it mattered most. Those restarts at the end are what won her this race. And as she didn't just end up there on a fluke, she was quick all night, worked her way to the front, and held on when it mattered. Maybe a little lucky not having a long run at the end, but you know how these races tend to end, and it only took one overtime to get it done tonight. And how about Zachary Meredith having a great finish in the top 5, and Dean Clavette in 6th, and how about Tommy Reynolds with another incredible finish in 4th. Byron Jones did in fact get that top 10 with a 9th place finish. Of course, we'll run through the full running order in just a moment's time, but congratulations to Bianca Constantinu. We have Josh Sosi in the waiting room right now for interviews. So Kevin, I think you found him.
Yeah, I think I pulled him in here out in the garage here. Joshua, this is Kevin, the Ben booth. You got a copy?
Oh, I gotcha.
Obviously, you went from race winner last week to still a podium. Very great job indeed. But obviously, every story starts at the beginning. So, as I usually ask, how was the track out there? It was very racy in the first 2 stages. It was very gung-ho trying to get positions.
Track was fine. Set was fine. You had carefree people out there burning their stuff up first 15, 20 laps of the run, and the rest of us that were smart were saving tire. And we'd go blowing by at the end of the run, and yeah, then you got a bunch of Mickey Mouse BS at the end of the race. Can't stay green. can't use fuel strat, can't use long run strat because idiots in this league don't know how to keep it green, and so we have caution after caution after caution, and then you have someone who just got lucky and capitalize and get the win. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, I can hear the frustration in your voice right now as we speak. So obviously, you were hoping for maybe some more green flag running. But continuing on, obviously, I want to pride on at least maybe a little bit here. I'm assuming you had a long run car. Like, so we saw you on strategy. You came in, obviously, with a caution when the cycle pitted out, right when the 9 had his incident. Sorry, the 5, I should say. And then caution after caution. And you came in around the same time as Constantinu. So were you gambling on a long run here to make those fresh tires work?
Just kind of put in a box at that point. Take your last set and don't pit again. I had run long all race. I had a good long run car. That one green in stage 3, I saved fuel. I was going to be able to make it, and Selena was going to be able to make it. Selena actually had 1 lap more fuel than I did, so if it would have played out, it would have got 1-2. And you put yourself in position to try to capitalize and everything, and then it just, yeah, it gets all taken away. It's frustrating. Probably how Denny Hamlin felt yesterday in the real race.
Mm-hmm. At least on the bright side of those, you will extend your points lead right now, but obviously with you having your win, you're already locked in the playoffs. So I will ask this, maybe make it a 2-part question here. A, leading the point standings, how does it feel? And do you think you can keep this momentum going to try to become the first repeat champion in HTL Cup Series? And secondly, how do you feel about Pocono? Do you think it's a track where we can see you back in victory lane?
I really enjoy Pocono. This package is interesting. I'm not really a big favorite of the drafty packages. I like to have a lot of off throttle time. So parts of that track are nice, but then you got really long straightaways that kind of take that away. It's great to have the points lead. I know Caitlin's coming on strong, so I'm gonna have to stay on my game. Try to move into the playoffs with that number 1 finish in the regular season for all those bonus points. That's probably part of why I'm so frustrated tonight. Just the way strat worked out, I couldn't get the stage win in either 1 or 2, and then I'm in position to win the race, and that doesn't work either. So just trying to do everything I can to capitalize on the playoff points. That's my sole focus right now, and not even worried about thinking about the championship until we get into the actual playoffs, because there's still way too much that can happen. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but it's just every week trying to maximize points and maximize playoff points as the main priority.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, it's been good for Lady Liberty. They're showing great form here late and trying to keep it running. Obviously, it is ABN tradition. If anyone want to thank family, friends, sponsors, whatever, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Yeah, I appreciate that. First and foremost, as always, Nitro Setups. Go get your fix there, all things NASCAR. Great teamwork tonight, Lady Liberty and Valfreya. I really feel for Selena. Was looking like a possible back-to-back top 5, which would have been awesome, but we got yahoos that filling in the car that probably shouldn't be, and unfortunately, Selena got taken out in that process. So hopefully they can rebound at Pocono. Good job, Caitlin, getting on the podium with myself, and we'll just keep digging as we always do every week. The admins are gonna have a busy week, myself included, reviewing this, going over everything. So thank you to all them for the help, and I want to thank you all for the awesome broadcast. I know it's going to be, and hopefully next week we can have more than a 2-lap sprint at the end where it's really hard to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, we'll see if we can get that next week. But if not, you can take care and have a good rest of your week, and hopefully we'll see you talk to you again before the season is out.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
And that was our second place finisher, Joshua Sosi. And it looks like we do have our race winner in the interview room. So, Kristina, since you're the guest of honor, why don't you take it for us and find out what her thoughts were?
Yeah, I'm here with Bianca Constantinu, race winner here at Charlotte. I do want to quickly note that Katie Height, unable to make a comment, she had to run to bed very quickly because of the race extending past, but she wanted to thank all of her sponsors and the team. So a good effort from the 3, but I am down here with race winner, the woman of the hour, Bianca Constantinu. This is Kristina. You got a copy.
Oh, no sign of her yet.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. How you doing?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, it's been a while, huh?
Yeah. P1 after
my
a
God.
great effort at the end. I could hear the emotion in your voice. Very excited to pull off the dub here. Walk us through that final stint.
My head hurts. I don't know. I mean, I feel like that last, well, last caution, the caution we had in the last 40-ish laps, that really saved me, because otherwise it was just going to be a fuel game between Lilac and Susie there. But really that put us in position, and from then on, it was restart after restart, see what we can do. I wasn't going to give one up, I hate, I hate being the, oh, I'm good on road courses and maybe play tracks and nothing else. So I wasn't gonna give one up. If I had to use the bumper, I would have used it, but I'm glad it didn't come to that. Once we got to the lead, it was just try and get the best jump, and I mean it worked twice. So yeah, I really don't know. It was I feel like the bigger part of it was just the sheer emotions going through me all throughout the last 20-ish laps of realizing that you never want to think about it, but realizing I could be in to win this race. I could be in to prove everyone wrong, and yeah.
How important is it for you? No, you're fine. How important is it for you to be able to get a win here on the oval? I mean, you said it yourself. You don't want to be known as the person only good at the road courses and the plate tracks. To get your first win of the season on an oval instead at one of the crown jewel events on a track that favors underdog drivers, how does the emotions compare to those wins that you've gotten in the past?
It's like nothing else, because it. The more you the more you can't have something, the more you want it. And really this one, I've had races. It's funny because I guess this season, especially in HTL, is kind of draining of a lot of motivation. So I went into Charlotte, okay, I have an EOL. I didn't do any practice. I'm just gonna do practice for the actual race session. It was kind of just, I don't know, it means a hell of a lot, even when, yeah, I don't know. I'm at a loss for words. I genuinely don't know what to say. I haven't slept one bit in the last 24 hours. Sorry.
You are totally fine. You're the winner.
Oh.
You can say whatever you want as long as it's TV appropriate. Yeah. But one last thing to ask you is that now that you have that win again, you're locked into the championship. We're moving into several different ovals and a road course or two in the future as well. What does it mean now that you have that lock in and know what is the plan moving forward, especially to Pocono next week?
Really just a lot of pressure taken off. I can obviously still going to go for the win when Suzuka comes around. That's the plan, but it's not going to be I either win this race or there's a big chance I'm not making the playoffs, because I already missed 3 races this season because I slept through my alarms. But yeah, it's just a relief more than anything else, and it gives me so much more confidence to know that I can be up there with Height, with Susie, with everyone that's really quick on the ovals. And it may have been a bit lucky, but I don't think I didn't deserve that win.
No, you definitely had to stay out there and fight off some of the toughest drivers in the field to get to victory lane. So congratulations, B. Of course, it's ABN tradition. I know you know this, but it's been a minute. You get to thank everybody you want, everybody that makes it work for you.
Well, I got I got my mom, obviously, for letting me race and for coping with the noises I get to make when I win and when I am very angry and I lose. And also my team stepping stone, as always. James did a hell of a job, especially those last few laps, just keeping me calm, keeping my head in the game, and that's really what helped me a lot. Lilac for basically guiding me through the whole strategy. This was a team win. I couldn't have done this without my guys.
Well, Bianca, fantastic drive for you. A win on an oval, and you can turn left and right. We knew that, but you can turn only left too. So congratulations and enjoy this one.
Hey, one more thing. Road course ringer my butt.
Well, you're an oval ringer now, so congratulations.
Yeah, thanks.
an ecstatic Bia Constantinou to bring home her first win of the season, and you can tell what it means to her, Kevin.
Yeah, you can definitely hear the passion and happiness in her voice. Like I was saying, she's probably screaming under that helmet when she took that win. You can't take it away from her. You could say maybe she backed into it possibly, but she was almost there to win stage number 2. And hey, even if she's up front late, she capitalized, she took the fresh tires, and she hung on when she needed to at the best. So hat tip to her as she got her victory. But that is going to do for that. We'll take one final look at the results here, as we've not gotten to do that quite yet. Constantinou takes the checker flag. Joshua Sosi and Caitlin Haight showing why they may be threats for the regular season title. They will be 2nd and 3rd. Reynolds 4th, Meredith 5th. They will be your top 5. With Dean Clavitt, Shad Swatsworth, Austin Mongold, Byron Jones in the case of adversity, getting yourself a top 10 after being 3 down after lap 5, and Alfred Denny rounding out the top 10. Moving further down we go, we'll have Elias Flores, William Brittner, stage 2 winner, rebounding for a nice 12th, Josh Arnold, Kevin Gibney, Lilac Sear rounding out your top 15, now getting the cars that were wounded in that big one, Casey Ellis, Christopher Pendell, Caleb Carter, Selena Thompson, Matthew Boone rounding out your top 20. Move further down, Dustin Hall almost got back on the lead lap to be strong in stage number 1, but missed it by 1 lap. Brett Henderson, Jeremy Braille, Bobby Blowers now getting into retirement zone with Connor Morris, Gary Donaldson, Martin Roberg, Eli Sassick, Hunter Peach, and Yahi Rodriguez rounding out your top 30. Seth Wanzing, Richard Odie, DJ Trout, Zachary Epperson, Caleb Eichler, and DeMonte Donson rounding out the 36 car field.
Well, I'll tell you what, Kevin, that was an all-time event here on ABN and HTL. It's a crown jewel for a reason, and though it got a bit sloppy at the end, it doesn't take away from the 180 laps previous that we had of fantastic wheel-to-wheel racing. A final look at the race summary recap shows us probably a record number of lead changes for 32 lead changes. There were 10 cautions, but almost all of them came at the end, 1 overtime. They still got to get used to trying to finish these things out under green, but that initial start to the race set us up for an all-time event.
Yeah, that was definitely an all-time event. Great racing. Well, Joe missed a good one. He'll be kicking himself when he's back in the booth next week for missing such a great race. But obviously, that was very fun. Good to be back in the booth again with Kristina. Obviously, you're with us every week, but this is the first time you've been in the commentary section and well over a little bit, so always fun to be with you on that point. But obviously, we'll look at the calendar coming up for next week. Obviously, on Sunday, the ABN 1 will have the A-Square Cup Series at Richmond, but also on the HTL Cup Series side, which the series we're in, you'll see on the calendar we're going to Pocono next week, up in the Tricky Triangle, up in the mountains of Pennsylvania for 87 laps here at the same time, 8 Eastern. Next week, and then after that we go and get our passports ready to go to Japan for 100 laps at Suzuka. But we're getting ahead of ourselves, as we'll see that next week. But until then, my name is Kevin Young. Kristina Ryan to the right of me. It has been a great job commentating this, and it's been great seeing you all here, so hope you tune in next week. But until then, take care and have a good rest of your week.